Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, or a Revival, Awakening the God-Killing Spear at the Beginning. Chapter 21. After one day, Chu Yi and Fatty walked side by side, their figures looking extremely firm in the afterglow of the setting sun. Although the fat man's fat body moved with difficulty, his eyes revealed great determination. Chu Yi jumped over a boulder lightly, his eyes showing firm confidence. Suddenly, there was a deafening roar from the south, and the earth seemed to be shaking for the coming battle. The roars of the alien beasts are like the chorus of demons, full of terror and ferocity. This is an outbreak of beasts, Brother Chu, we must leave quickly. The fat man grabbed Chu Yi's hand, with a trace of fear in his eyes. Chu Yi did not flinch. He said firmly, "Run. Where to run? We have to kill directly and fight to the death with the beast tide." The roars of the alien beasts were mixed with the loud noise, like a terrifying choir. Chu Yi's eyes flashed with sharp light, and he transformed the god-killing spear without hesitation, preparing to face the beast tide. The fat man looked at him with a surprised expression. "Brother Chu, do you want to take the risk?" Chu Yi took a deep breath and said firmly, "Fat man, this is an excellent opportunity to improve your strength. Let's go hunt the strange beasts together and let our names resound throughout Blue Star." His voice was full of laughter, full of determination and pride. Chu Yi held the god-killing spear in his hand, and its body exuded a terrifying evil spirit, like a spear of darkness, rushing straight towards the rolling beast tide. His eyes revealed perseverance and fearlessness, as if he was a warrior destined to contend with fate. The fat man followed closely behind, and the ruby golden cudgel in his hand turned into a golden whirlwind, quickly following Chu Yi's figure, like a tacit comrade in arms. Chu Yi was killing the beasts faster and faster, and every time he waved the god-killing spear, he seemed to release a beast-like excitement. Whenever a strange beast falls, the spiritual energy in its body will return to Chu Yi's body along with the evil spirit, making it even more powerful. This evil spirit actually has such devouring power, and can even absorb the spiritual energy in the body of alien beasts. Is this the ability given by the last time I defeated the god-killing spear soul? He secretly marveled. Gradually, Chu Yi's intention to kill became more and more intense. The god-killing spear danced in his hands like a violent storm. Every kill carried infinite power. The shadows of the gun were like a sharp blade that harvested life. "We're going to have a breakthrough soon. Just a little more and we'll have a breakthrough." The feeling of breakthrough gradually emerged in his heart. "Ah, go to hell, alien beast." He suddenly let out a wild shout, and the god-killing gun in his hand danced in the air. The god-killing gun kept spinning, exuding a pungent fishy smell, like a sickle that harvests life. The alien beasts were suppressed by Chu Yi's crazy killing intent, and could only be killed mercilessly by the god-killing gun. Blood spurted out, and sharp screams resounded through the sky, filling the atmosphere with death. Chu Yi's figure was like a bolt of lightning in the tide of beasts, mercilessly slitting the throats of the alien beasts. His eyes flashed with the flames of fighting intent, and his steps were like a conqueror stepping on the blood of the enemy. At this moment, in the distant sky, a fire phoenix was flying. Its feathers were like burning flames, and its blazing light streaked across the night sky, illuminating the entire skyline. On the back of the fire phoenix stood two women. Their figures were elegant and graceful, like swans dancing in the sky. One of them had hair as red as flames, as if flames were burning on her body, exuding a strong temperament. Her name is Feng Qingyan. Just like her name, her appearance is extremely beautiful and makes people fall in love with her. The other woman has long hair, like a pearl in the dark night. Her appearance is exquisite and exudes mystery, charm. The man with the gun is so powerful. I can feel that he has dual powers, Feng Qingyan said to Shangguan Lingwei. There was a trace of surprise and envy in Feng Qingyan's eyes. Her eyes were fixed on the man holding the gun, as if the energy emanating from him made her unable to look away. Really, he has dual powers? Shangguan Lingwei was surprised, with a hint of shock and disbelief in her voice. Yes, he has both soul and elemental elements, and his vitality is unparalleled. Feng Qingyan's voice revealed a hint of excitement and admiration. She pointed her finger at the man with the gun as if he were a living miracle beyond belief. Feng Qingyan knew very well that a person with two powers was very rare, and his vitality was much stronger than ordinary people, which made her marvel at his strength and potential. And he is about to break through to rank 3. The black energy emanating from his body is very terrifying, and he should have the ability to swallow spiritual energy. Feng Qingyan said with a hint of surprise in her tone. Her brows furrowed slightly. She knew very well what the black energy represented, the pure intention of killing, and she was worried that the man with the gun could not control his power, which would bring danger to him and the people around him. With such a strong vitality, he should be able to save your grandfather, and even extend your grandfather's life for 100 years. Feng Qingyan's tone was full of hope. With an expression of excitement and urgency on her face, Shangguan Lingwei said excitedly, "That's great, we have to catch him back immediately and bring the fat man back too." Her eyes flickered. He was looking forward to it, as if he couldn't wait to put this plan into action. Feng Qingyan refused without hesitation. "Absolutely not, Shangguan Lingwei, we must fight for his consent." She looked firmly at Shangguan Lingwei, revealing a trace of unshakable determination in her eyes. Shangguan Lingwei curled her lips in disdain and said mockingly, "Why? Do you really think he is so great? He is just a rank 3 superpower, nothing more than an insignificant existence." Her expression revealed it. There was a hint of contempt and disdain, as if he didn't care about Chu Yi's strength. Feng Qingyan has always disagreed with Shangguan Lingwei's attitude of treating the world as insignificant. She firmly believes that everyone has their own value and is worthy of respect and attention regardless of their strength. Therefore, she was dissatisfied with Shangguan Lingwei's contemptuous attitude. "HMPH, go find someone else for help. I will never say a good word for you again." Feng Qingyan snorted coldly, with a hint of anger and determination in her tone. I don't know how long it took, but the beast tide at this moment has been dispersed by Chu Yi. He stood on the broken battlefield, his body covered with the blood of the alien beasts. The blood stained his robes red, but his face remained calm, revealing an irrepressible majesty. The bright red blood of the alien beasts formed a bloody pattern on Chu Yi's body. He smiled slightly. This is the symbol of his breakthrough rank 3. The power of his supernatural powers has reached a new level, making him feel extremely powerful. "Have you broken through rank 3? Is this the power of a rank 3 superpower? It's so strong." He knew that he had become a rank 3 superpower and said to himself excitedly. Chu Yi's eyes fell on the fat man. Seeing his kidney deficiency, he stepped forward to help him. Facing the small beast tide, Chu Yi was a little surprised that Fatty was so exhausted. "Fat man, can you do it? The little beast tide has exhausted you like this?" he asked with concern. The fat man looked like he had a weak kidney. He looked at Chu Yi and said helplessly, "Brother Chu, stop talking, you are still a little beast tide. Do you have any misunderstanding about the beast tide?" Chu Yi suddenly put his arm around the fat man's shoulders. "Fat man, take Xiaobai and go north first. We will meet in Yanjing City," he said softly to the fat man. The fat man suddenly cheered up, and his eyes were full of trust when he looked at Chu Yi. "Go quickly, don't ask why, just listen to me," Chu Yi urged again with a serious expression. "Brother Chu, you have to be careful." The fat man understood Chu Yi's attitude. He agreed, turned and walked towards Yanjing City in the north. Behind him, Chu Yi's eyes stared at him closely, full of worry. After a moment, Chu Yi's voice was calm and powerful, as if carrying an irresistible majesty. "Come out, I've been waiting for you for a long time." His voice echoed in the sky, as if summoning some mysterious existence. Suddenly, 2 figures appeared in the sky, floating down like angels descending. A woman with long fiery red hair, a beautiful face that burns people's hearts like a flame, and a graceful figure, like a goddess of fire. The other woman has flowing black hair, a light figure, and an air of immortality, just like a fairy descending from the fairyland. Chu Yi felt the spiritual energy emanating from these 2 women. The spiritual energy surged like a tide, powerful and terrifying. This kind of aura seemed to come from another world, which no one dared to despise. Chu Yi's heart tightened, and he couldn't help but sweat dripping down, feeling a trace of inexplicable pressure. Chu Yi's face was calm and composed, although his heart was shaken by the appearance of these 2 women. He looked at the 2 of them and asked, "Who are you?" Although his voice was calm, it contained a trace of doubt and vigilance. The 2 women looked at Chu Yi, and the woman with long fiery red hair slowly said, "Hello, my name is Feng Qingyan." Her voice was soft and beautiful, as if she was whispering from another world. I am Shangguan Lingwei. The black-haired woman smiled. Is this Shangguan Lingwei? The rank 8 superpower is indeed extraordinary. Chu Yi's pupils shrank instantly, and a shock suddenly arose in his heart. My surname is Chu and my name is Yi. Chu Yi responded resolutely. He frowned slightly and continued to ask, what do you two do with me? Come with me. As long as you do something for me, I'll do whatever you want. Shangguan Lingwei raised her eyebrows, looking arrogant, and extended the invitation without concealment. Her confident voice revealed an aura of omnipotence, as if any request Chu Yi made could be easily met. Feng Qingyun was holding her forehead on the side, thinking to herself that this girl actually came to ask for help with such an attitude. Chu Yi was very dissatisfied with Shangguan Lingwei's attitude in speaking, so he just came with you. So what if you don't go? Chu Yi responded calmly. You don't want to go. Do you know who I am? From the time I was born to now, no one has dared to refuse my request. Shangguan Lingwei felt very incredible. Chu Yi said expressionlessly, his voice indifferent and cold, like a whisper from the abyss. I know you are strong, but why can't I refuse you? His eyes were as clear as ice, revealing endless determination, as if he was ready to face death. As he finished speaking, the aura on Chu Yi's body began to become strange. A strong evil spirit spread from his body and dispersed in the surrounding air, making people feel an indescribable sense of oppression. Suddenly, the god-killing spear appeared. Along with the dark light, the evil aura became more intense. This gun exuded a mysterious aura, as if it contained endless power, which made people feel awe. Beside Chu Yi, countless tiny water droplets were suspended in the air, spinning around him. Every drop of water shines with a strange light, as bright as a star, exuding an amazing power, as if they are messengers from some mysterious world. These water droplets condense into a gorgeous water curtain in the air, tangled together like a dream. You want to fight me? Aren't you afraid of death? Shangguan Lingwei felt as if her heart was hit by an invisible force. No matter what she thought, she couldn't understand why Chu Yi was so fearless of life and death. Facing Shangguan Lingwei's question, Chu Yi smiled slightly, with an unprecedented indifference in his eyes. Death is not what I fear, only living is my biggest fear. His voice was calm and indifferent, which made people feel a chill. Living means facing endless pain and torture, but death is a relief. Chu Yi's words echoed in her ears, causing her to fall into deep thought. She began to doubt whether her attitude towards life and death was correct. What's the point of living? If it's just to suffer torture and endure endless pain, then why bother? I'm not afraid of death, because death can free me. Chu Yi gave Shangguan Lingwei a deep look. The indifference and ridicule in his eyes made her feel chilled, and his voice revealed a touch of sadness. Death is not terrible. What is terrible is living. If you are afraid of death, why should you live? Guan Lingwei couldn't help but sneered. Her cold eyes pierced deep into Chu Yi's heart like sharp blades. She gritted her teeth and said, very good, in this case, I will take you away by force. It was the first time that Shangguan Lingwei saw this kind of guy who started fighting at the slightest disagreement, and her heart was filled with anger. She stared at Chu Yi closely. Feng Qingyun, who was standing next to her, had a bright look on her face, as if she admired Chu Yi's conduct as a person. Chu Yi held the god-killing spear in his hand, and his powerful momentum made the surrounding air seem to freeze. Then let me see the power of rank 8 superpowers. His eyes flashed with determination and perseverance, and he rushed towards Shangguan Lingwei without hesitation. In an instant, a majestic wave of spiritual energy emitted from Shangguan Lingwei's body, sweeping over like a mountain falling apart. Chu Yi felt the strong pressure from the spiritual energy wave and was knocked away helplessly, like a broken leaf floating in the wind. Chu Yi fell to the ground in embarrassment. His face was covered with dirt and blood, and the wounds on his body made him grit his teeth in pain. How can it be so strong? He stood up with difficulty, and through the pain and confusion, a trace of determination and unwillingness flashed in his eyes. Shangguan Lingwei's voice reached Chu Yi's ears coldly and mockingly, do you know the gap between us now? There was a hint of disdain and arrogance in her eyes. Why should I go with you? I won't help you, a bully like you. Chu Yi responded angrily. Ha ha, innocent children, bullying the weak is the essence of today's society. Shangguan Lingwei suddenly laughed loudly, with a mocking arc at the corner of his mouth. Suddenly, Shangguan Lingwei's body moved as quickly as lightning, and her hands surged with terrifying energy, like two flames with infinite energy. A powerful aura burst out from Shangguan Lingwei's body, as if a violent storm was coming. Chu Yi tried to resist, but in the face of the irresistible force, he felt like a dead leaf swallowed by the storm, unable to struggle. In the end, he could only watch as Shangguan Lingwei's palm hit him, and he finally fainted to the ground. Feng Qingyan covered her forehead, frowned slightly, and said worriedly, "Lingwei, it's not good for you to be like this. If we take him back by force, I'm afraid it will only arouse his resistance. This kid is obviously a man who doesn't know what to do. I'll just knock him out and take him back. It's simple and hassle-free." Lingwei smiled nonchalantly, with a hint of provocation flashing in his eyes. Immediately, the two stood on the fire phoenix, soared in the sky, and rushed towards Yanjing City. The flames burned behind it, making everything around it red. High in the sky, the fire phoenix soared in the blue sky. The two stood on its back, the wind blew their hair, and with the burning flames, behind them the scenery gradually became tinged with fiery red color. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and one day later, Chu Yi finally woke up from his coma, slowly opened his eyes, and his blurred vision slowly became clear. He found himself in a luxurious and grand room. The splendid walls are hung with exquisite oil paintings, the floor is covered with soft wool carpets, and the room is filled with a rich floral fragrance. All of this made him feel unreal, as if he were in a fairy tale dream. Am I being knocked unconscious by that woman and brought here? Chu Yi sat up suddenly, anger and shame welling up in his heart. This is shame. He recalled the scene of being attacked by that mysterious woman, and anger and unwillingness filled his chest. Strength. Everything is caused by lack of strength. For Chu Yi, being manipulated and trapped in a strange place made him feel more and more uneasy. Chu Yi fell weakly on the bed, his heart filled with self-blame for his lack of strength. He realized that his strength was far from strong enough, that he didn't even have the strength to resist. Suddenly, the door was opened, and Feng Qingyan's figure appeared in front of Chu Yi. "Are you awake? How do you feel?" There was a hint of concern in her bright eyes. When Chu Yi saw it was Feng Qingyan, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. "Aren't you and Shangguan Lingwei in the same group? What are you doing here, to laugh at my incompetence?" He once thought that Feng Qingyan and Shangguan Lingwei were in the same group, but the appearance of Feng Qingyan at this moment made him confused. "She's just like that. She's just been spoiled since childhood. In fact, she has no ill intentions towards you." Feng Qingyan smiled slightly, with a hint of mystery in her voice. "How about we make a deal?" Chu Yi was curious for a while, his eyes flashed with excitement and expectation, and he couldn't wait to ask, "What deal?" Shangguan Lingwei's grandfather, Shangguan Shaoshan, the god of war of the Shangguan family, is a hero who emerged in the early days of spiritual energy recovery. Feng Qingyan smiled softly, with a hint of intelligence in her eyes, and her tone was gentle. He once fought bloody battles to defend the entire country and paid a very high price for it. Now his body has weakened to the extreme and his vitality is gradually disappearing. There was a hint of sadness and helplessness in Feng Qingyan's voice, and her eyes showed concern and worry about Shangguan Shaoshan's physical condition. "Therefore, he needs your help to continue his life." She sighed softly, with a hint of determination in her voice. Feng Qingyan's words revealed her respect and emotion for the Shangguan family and Grandpa Shangguan Lingwei. Chu Yi was stunned when he heard this. He finally understood and asked him to save people. Hesitation and thinking flashed in his eyes, and he was weighing the pros and cons of this deal in his heart. He said calmly, "You should go find a doctor. Unfortunately, I am not a doctor. The old man's problem cannot be solved by doctors. Chu Yi, I found that there is a vast vitality in your body. This is the key to us finding you." Feng Qingyan shook her head with a smile and continued to explain, the vitality is very likely to help the old man regain his life. The life force that was supposed to originate from the seeds of the tree was unexpectedly discovered by this woman. It's not good. Chu Yi felt a struggle in his heart. He understood what the power and resources of the Shangguan family meant to him. But he also knew that if he really had the vitality that could save the old man, he would not be able to ignore it morally. "Miss Feng Qingyan, can you tell me why you know so much about my vitality?" Chu Yi asked tentatively. Of course it's perception. Don't rush to answer this matter. Listen to my conditions and then think about it. Feng Qingyan smiled and said, a condition that shocked Chu Yi. As long as you save the old man, Shangguan, my family is willing to do one thing for you, it's anything. When Chu Yi heard this, he was shocked. This is the Shangguan family. The apex-level family in Yanjing City can be said to be a powerful being. He said in great surprise, is this true? Of course, this is what Shangguan Lingwei said personally. Feng Qingyan said with a mysterious smile. Okay, what if you change your mind then? Chu Yi asked worriedly. Change your mind? Absolutely impossible. Shangguan Lingwei said this to me personally. Feng Qingyan looked confident and said firmly, I guarantee Shangguan Lingwei's reputation and swear that I will never go back on my word. Chu Yi was still a little worried, and he said worriedly, what if? What if they regret it? Look, Shangguan Lingwei didn't even come in person for such an important matter. Feng Qingyan thought for a moment and then said thoughtfully, if they go back on their word, I will always stand on your side and fight for justice for you. Chu Yi felt that Feng Qingyan, a woman, was relatively upright and trustworthy. He nodded secretly and felt a sense of security in his heart. Okay, I promise you, but the specific treatment effect depends on the actual situation. Chu Yi nodded, smiled, and continued to add, also, my friends, you also need to help find them. Quote, are you talking about the fat man who also has a rank 2 white tiger? Feng Qingyan frowned slightly. Yes, it's them. Chu Yi took a deep breath and nodded. Chu Yi was also very worried about Qin Tianju, and couldn't help but feel nervous. Feng Qingyan said without hesitation, I will try my best to help you find your friends, but the most important thing now is to treat the old man first. At this moment, Shangguan Lingwei suddenly burst into the room, her eyes showing anxiety and uneasiness. She looked at Chu Yi and said urgently, did you agree? Then let's set off quickly to save my grandpa. Her expression showed concern and worry for his grandpa's safety. Chu Yi looked at Shangguan Lingwei, his heart full of resentment, but he quickly suppressed his emotions and said calmly, why didn't you tell me earlier that you wanted to save your grandpa? Forget it, I won't argue with you, as long as you remember just agree to the conditions. He chose to respond rationally to Shangguan Lingwei's arrogance and unreasonableness. Shangguan Lingwei looked arrogant, her eyes flashing like cold lightning. She straightened her body, as if she wanted to show her dignity and inviolable status to everyone. What's wrong if I don't say anything? Ever since I was a child, no one has dared to refuse me. She said with a proud look on her face. Chu Yi took a deep breath and narrowed his eyes to avoid Shangguan Lingwei's arrogant face. He didn't want to argue with such an arrogant woman. He sighed softly and said calmly, forget it, I won't do this with you. The race is over. Just remember the conditions you agreed to. Let's go. Go and save your grandpa. At this time, in a very large luxurious villa, Chu Yi's heart was beating wildly. What was displayed in front of him was a magnificent villa that exceeded his imagination. Upon careful observation, every detail appears extremely delicate, as if it is a masterpiece created by the hand of an angel. Chu Yi was stunned and even doubted whether he had arrived at the palace. Come with me, my grandfather is in the room inside, Shangguan Lingwei said with contempt in her heart and her expression arrogantly. Let's go. Chu Yi was also used to Shangguan Lingwei's arrogance and didn't care. The three of them walked into the room, and what they saw in front of them was a figure with gray hair and a face that looked like a middle-aged man. He lay quietly on the bed, his face looked a little tired, and he was actually in a coma. There are faint wrinkles on his face. Although he is old, he exudes a deep and energetic temperament. Shangguan Lingwei showed a rare begging expression and said to Chu Yi, please save my grandpa and agree to your conditions, I will definitely do it. Don't worry, I will definitely try my best. Chu Yi was also stunned and smiled. Feng Qingyan watched all this silently and slowly exited the room. Chu Yi slowly walked towards the old man lying on the bed. He stared at the old man's face, as if he could see the resolute face in his youth. He took a deep breath, circulated the spiritual power in his body, and activated the vitality contained in the seeds of the tree of origin. The spiritual energy and vitality poured into the old man's body from his fingertips. He felt the life force flowing in the old man's body, like a warm stream of water, gradually penetrating into the old man's body. After a while, The old man woke up from his coma and felt the power of life constantly pouring into his body. He looked at Chu Yi in front of the bed, and he instantly understood what was going on. "Young man, stop it," he said. Hearing the old man speak, Chu Yi instantly stopped inputting his life force. "Ling Wei, is this your idea? You disappoint me so much." There was a hint of disappointment in Shangguan Shaoshan's tone. Shangguan Lingwei was very happy to see her grandfather wake up. "Grandpa, this is the only way to save you." She ran to the old man's bed and said aggrievedly, "Using other people's life force to save yourself is no different from killing someone." Mr. Shangguan looked extremely angry and said with great excitement, "I, Shangguan Shaoshan, have never killed innocent people in my life. Even if you save me, what's the point?" "Don't worry, old man. The vitality in my body is strong, so it won't be a serious problem." Seeing this, Chu Yi quickly explained, "Young man, you don't have to comfort me anymore. I've reached the end of my life." Mr. Shangguan lay slumped on the bed, his voice low and hoarse. "Please believe me, my vitality is strong. Nothing will happen to me." Chu Yi held the old man's hand tightly, with a firm light shining in his eyes. "Young man, do you know what this means?" Mr. Shangguan looked at Chu Yi. "Of course I know, but none of this is important." After Chu Yi finished speaking, he began to activate the vitality contained in the seeds of the tree of origin without hesitation. Endless spiritual energy and vitality poured into the old man's body. With the continuous infusion of vitality, the pale color that filled Shangguan's body gradually faded and was replaced by a vibrant black. The hair gradually becomes thicker and shiny, as if nourished by a mysterious power. After a long time, Chu Yi gasped, his eyes fixed on the old man Shangguan in front of him. Mr. Shangguan has fully recovered at this moment. He is tall and straight, full of energy, and has no trace of the previous dejection. His face was filled with confidence and absolute authority, like a real dragon controlling the world. "Grandpa, you are really well, great," Shangguan Lingwei shouted excitedly. Shangguan Lingwei's words did not attract the attention of Mr. Shangguan. His eyes were fixed on Chu Yi in front of him. "Little brother, can you tell me your name? The grace of saving my life will be something that Mr. Shangguan will never forget." His voice full of sincerity and gratitude. "I'm here, Chu Yi." Chu Yi cupped his fists and saluted, "You're welcome, old man." Shangguan Lingwei was ecstatic at this moment. "Grandpa, that's great. You are really cured." Her eyes were full of joy. Then, she said unceremoniously, "Grandpa, you don't need to pay attention to this person. He is just a country bumpkin I found to treat you." There was a sense of superiority in her tone, as if Chu Yi, a country bumpkin, didn't it deserves their family's attention. When Chu Yi heard what Shangguan Lingwei said, he immediately understood that he had been tricked. When Mr. Shangguan heard what she said, he became angry instantly and scolded, "Lingwei, how can you be so rude? Apologize to Chu Yi." Shangguan Lingwei remained unmoved and had no intention of apologizing to Chu Yi. Sure enough, Shangguan Lingwei's sense of superiority and arrogance made Chu Yi disgusted. Every movement she makes exudes an air of arrogance, as if the whole world should serve her. "Excuse me," Chu Yi said without hesitation. "Little brother, wait a minute, if you have any requests, my Shangguan family will definitely do our best to satisfy you," Mr. Shangguan said anxiously. Chu Yi was unmoved, his eyes were calm, and he slowly walked out of the luxurious villa. The sky can be measured, the earth can be measured, but the human heart cannot be guarded. He looked up at the blue sky and sighed, "The ancients never deceived me." At this time, Feng Qingyan suddenly came over and asked Chu Yi, "What's wrong with you, Chu Yi, you came out so soon?" Chu Yi was silent. "Speak, what's going on? How is the old man?" Feng Qingyan asked anxiously. "It's fine." Chu Yi was unusually calm, with an unusually calm and indifferent tone. "That's good." Feng Qingyan breathed a long sigh of relief. "What's wrong with you? Why did you come out so quickly? Didn't you ask for anything?" Chu Yi was silent again. "Okay, you were fine before you went in, but you looked like a different person after you came out." Feng Qingyan blinked and murmured in confusion. "My friend, have you found it?" Chu Yi suddenly asked. Then he shook his head and said, "Forget it, I don't need your help to find it." "Okay, I'm going to visit the old man first. Remember to contact me if you have anything." After saying that, Feng Qingyan left. An hour later, Chu Yi was walking on the streets of Yanjing City. There were crowds of people, but he seemed to be in another world. He is more like a lonely traveler. This city is bustling and noisy, but for Chu Yi, this is just a strange city. He does not belong here and does not know where he belongs. Sure enough, superior people exist in every world. Chu Yi suddenly saw a bar and walked in. There were men and women in the bar, and the deafening music reverberated in the air. Get a bottle of the strongest wine. He sat in front of the bar and said to the bartender. Chu Yi picked up the wine glass and drank sips, the liquid sliding down his throat. On the other side, inside the Shangguan family's luxurious villa. Shangguan Lingwei, how can you be so rude? He saved your grandfather. Is this how you treat your family's savior? At this moment, Feng Qingyan already knew the whole story. Shangguan Lingwei said with an arrogant look, Feng Qingyan is just a nobody. It's an honor for him to save my grandfather. He actually wants to get the favor of my Shangguan family. He is so ignorant. Now that she had finally achieved her goal, she no longer needed the hypocritical pretense. She poured out what was in her heart and expressed her inner feelings unabashedly. Although he is just a nobody now, how do you know whether he will be famous all over the world in the future? Feng Qingyan's expression turned serious immediately after hearing this. Haha, it's impossible. Since the revival of spiritual energy, there have been so many talented people, and how many of them have become famous all over the world? Shangguan Lingwei laughed and said disdainfully. In the bar, Chu Yi was drinking alone. You're a waiter, don't be so shameless. Suddenly, he heard an angry roar. It was a man who slapped the waitress on the face with a pop sound. Chu Yi raised his head and saw that the atmosphere in the bar became tense instantly, and walked up to the waitress. Are you okay? Chu Yi asked. The waitress raised her head, her eyes filled with tears, and there was an obvious red mark on her face, confirming that she had just been slapped by the man. It's okay, I'm okay, the waitress said softly, although her voice was a little weak. Chu Yi looked at the man. The anger and disdain on his face made Chu Yi feel disgusted. He stepped forward and stood in front of the waitress, blocking the man's view. Apologize to this lady, Chu Yi said coldly with an unusually calm expression. Boy, do you dare to interfere with my business? Are you tired of living? The man sneered and looked at Chu Yi provocatively. Are you forcing me to take action? Chu Yi's tone was extremely cold. I am a student from the Japanese country who came to the Dragon Kingdom to study. Do you dare to do anything? The man said disdainfully, you, the Dragon Kingdom, are rubbish. In an instant, a deep wound appeared on his chest, and the god-killing spear was inserted into the man's chest with a cold light. Blood gushed out, dyeing his clothes red. So much nonsense, Japanese dog. Chu Yi's voice was extremely cold. At this moment, the man was silent and completely dead. When people saw this scene, the bar suddenly became chaotic. Ah, he's killing someone, run away. Run, there's a madman. Soon, not many people were left in the bar. Okay, it's okay, you can leave quickly. It has nothing to do with you here, Chu Yi said to the waitress. Thank you, the waitress said in panic, and then ran away in panic. At this moment, the bar manager walked over slowly. Why did this gentleman kill people in the bar? He shouted at Chu Yi. Japanese people, everyone will kill them if they find them, Chu Yi said as a matter of course. Then he asked the man's companions, are you also from Japan? One man and two women, they looked to be in their 20s. Why, it doesn't matter that we are Japanese, do you still want to kill us? One of the women said. In an instant, the god-killing spear penetrated the woman's body mercilessly, making a dull impact. No, this devil. You. Blood spurted out, and the woman's eyes were filled with despair and fear, but she could not close them. Her body trembled, and she gradually lost the breath of life. You devil, how come we Japanese people have offended you? You want to kill them all like this? One of the men said. Chu Yi looked at the man quietly without saying much, holding the god-killing gun in his hand to end the Japanese man's life. I'm not from the Japanese country, I'm from the Long country. The girl was obviously frightened by this scene and quickly begged for mercy. After confirming the girl's identity, Chu Yi let the Dragon Kingdom girl go, then turned around and looked at the bar manager with a murderous expression, and said in a cold tone, what's wrong with me killing Japanese people? You have to plead for them. No, no, all Japanese people deserve to die. The bar manager reluctantly agreed. But at this moment, a group of superpowers rushed in towards the bar, led by a man wearing an investigator uniform. He looked at the situation in front of him, then looked at Chuyi, and instantly deduced part of the situation. We received reports from the masses that someone was killing people here. The leading investigator said to Chuyi. Yes, I was the one who killed him. Chuyi replied calmly. The leading investigator had sharp eyes and ordered Chuyi, very good, come with me. Don't try to resist. Why should I follow you? Do you want to die too? Chuyi tilted his head and said disdainfully. Boy, are you tired of living? Come on, everyone, and take this guy down. As an investigator, he usually doesn't treat him with respect, but today this person actually dared to threaten him. In an instant, a dozen superpowers attacked Chuyi. Well done, you scum. Chuyi roared, evil spirit surging crazily with his words. Chuyi held the god-killing spear tightly. The shadow of the spear was like a dragon, and its evil aura was terrifying, as if it could swallow up everything in the world. He ruthlessly invaded the bodies of more than a dozen superpowers and devoured their spiritual energy. The faces of those with powers showed expressions of fear and pain, and they were unable to break free. The devouring power raged within their bodies, and they felt their bodies disappearing bit by bit, as if they were being swallowed by darkness. Chuyi felt that his spiritual energy had grown again at this moment. This devouring power was really useful. You guy, what have you done? The investigator said angrily. I didn't do anything. It's because your people are useless. They fell down before I even tried to do anything. Chuyi tilted his head and looked at the leading investigator with a cold expression. I'm going to kill you. The investigator roared angrily, his muscles swelled up, and he rushed towards Chuyi. His fists were clenched and ready to attack, as if he wanted to blast Chuyi into pieces, but Chuyi did not panic. He smiled and easily dodged the investigator's attacks. The attacks of the leading investigator were always easily diffused by Chuyi, as if they were struck on cotton, with no effect. Investigators of the Superpower Association, that's all. Chuyi looked evil, with a hint of horror and murderous intent in his tone. If you are only this level, you will all die here today. After saying that, Chuyi held the terrifying god-killing gun in his hand, his eyes cold and sharp, and a lightning-like shadow of the gun pierced the investigator's skin. How could it be so strong? What kind of weapon is the gun in your hand? The leading investigator was in disbelief. Does a dying person need to know so much? Chuyi said ruthlessly. As soon as he finished speaking, the investigator suddenly felt a terrible evil spirit permeating his body. This evil spirit was like a black vortex, crazily devouring his life force and soul. His eyes widened and he let out a shrill scream, but he was soon drowned out by the evil spirit and the sound stopped abruptly. The evil spirit returned to Chuyi's body. He closed his eyes and felt the changes in his body. He found that his spiritual energy was stronger than before. Very good. Kill, devour, and become stronger. Only by constantly getting stronger can you stand at the top of this world. Chuyi thought of Shangguan Lingwei's aloof posture and eyes that regarded him as an ant, and he felt in his heart can't help but have some crazy ideas. He clenched his fists tightly, his nails dug deeply into his flesh, and blood slowly seeped out from between his fingers, but he was completely unaware of it. Chuyi walked out of the bar and came to a wasteland area outside Yanjing City. He took out his mobile phone from his space ring and dialed Qin Tianju's number. In the wasteland, mobile phones often have no signal, and this kind of thing can only be used as an emergency. Do. The call was answered unexpectedly. Fat man, where are you now? Brother Chu, I'm on my way to Yanjing City. The fat man's voice came from the other end of the phone. Then how long do you have to get to Yanjing City? Chuyi said. The fat man chuckled and said, Brother Chu, it will probably take about 3 days. Let's not talk about it for now. There are strange beasts ahead. I'm going to die. Chuyi quickly continued. Fat man, don't worry about it yet. I'll wait for you in the wasteland area south of Yanjing City in 3 days. Okay, that's it. The call ended, and then Chuyi found a crystal clear stream. Water attribute powers should be very effective if practiced in water. He couldn't wait to jump into the water, feeling the water flowing slowly on his body. That's right, the spiritual energy in the water is so rich. He closed his eyes, took a few deep breaths, and began to practice his water attribute abilities. It's incredible that I can breathe freely underwater. Starting to operate the primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu, the surrounding water elements began to roll, forming water vortices that continued to converge into Chu Yi's body. He felt that his body was like a bottomless pit, constantly swallowing the energy in the water. As the energy absorbed increased, his body began to gradually emit a faint blue light. In this way, Chu Yi was immersed in the realm of cultivation, and the 3 days seemed to fly by. When he opened his eyes, a peaceful breath emanated from his body. I have improved a lot in my cultivation. If I don't have the seeds of the tree of origin, I should be able to break through. Chu Yi murmured to himself. With a wow sound, Chu Yi rushed out of the water. He shook his hair, and his body's supernatural powers surged, evaporating all the water on his body. The agreed time had come, and he came to the wasteland area south of Yanjing, waiting for the fat man's arrival. When he saw the dirty look of the fat man, he couldn't help but joked, "Hey, have you gone to dig coal?" The fat man shook his fat body and didn't pay attention to Chu Yi's teasing. He said with a painful look on his face, "Brother Chu, I'm sorry for you, Xiaobai is lost." "What? Xiaobai is lost? What's going on?" Chu Yi looked anxious. "Xiaobai is his mount. Speak quickly, fat man, what's going on?" Brother Chu, Xiaobai seems to have disappeared out of thin air. I really don't know how." Fatty's expression was painful. He also liked Xiaobai very much. He was also very sad when Xiaobai disappeared. "Tell me specifically what's going on," Chu Yi said calmly. "Oh, it just disappeared out of thin air. I can't describe it." Fatty took a deep breath and lamented. Chu Yi felt a little uncomfortable, but he immediately regained his composure. He said, "We can't stop Xiaobai's disappearance. This is an unchangeable fact. It's useless to say this now. I believe we will meet again if we are destined. Now we must rush to Dongli City immediately, it's imminent." Dongli City? Why do you want to go to Dongli City?" Fatty asked in surprise. What on earth could be so urgent that even Xiaobai didn't care about it? Chu Yi took out the mobile phone of the Nightwalker organization, which showed big red writing. Dongli City suffered a large-scale attack by strange sea beasts, and Dongli City's war mode was officially launched. The war broke out. Fatty was shocked when he saw the news. Yes, as humans we cannot sit idly by and ignore it. We have to help. The civilians there are innocent. Chu Yi said seriously. "Brother Chu, how do we get there? This place is very far away from Dongli City. Is it too late to go there now?" The fat man said doubtfully. "I have roughly calculated that with the speed of a superpowers, as long as we go there overnight, it will only take 2 days. Chu Yi stared at the fat man with calm eyes. The war in Dongli City has changed his life. We can only put it aside for the time being. The fat man's fat body kept trembling, and he said in disbelief, "Brother Chu, are you sure you want to run over? Even a person with superpowers can't handle such a high-intensity running. There is no other way. I killed the people from the Superpower Association, so we can only go wild." Chu Yi also smiled awkwardly. "Brother Chu, you are awesome. I admire you for this. You really dare to kill anyone." The fat man looked at Chu Yi with an expression of admiration. "Okay, let's set off quickly. Don't waste any time," Chu Yi said anxiously, then jumped up and quickly headed towards Dongli City. Hey, Brother Chu, wait for me." The fat man yelled and immediately followed Chu Yi's pace. They quickly headed east away from the city, rushing forward like 2 strong winds. As superpowers, their speed is extraordinary, and they travel like wind on the abandoned road. At this moment, in Shangguan's luxurious villa, Mr. Shangguan was sitting in the spacious living room, staring at the 2 people in front of him, Shangguan Lingtian and Shangguan Lingwei. Their faces were full of anticipation and awe, as if they were waiting for the old man's instructions. "Shangguan Lingtian, you disappoint me so much. Look at how your daughter Shangguan Lingwei has been taught by you." Shangguan Shaoshan's face was ugly and angry, and he roared, hating that iron cannot be transformed into steel, and raised his finger to Shangguan. "Lingwei, so arrogant and arrogant, little brother Chu Yi saved my life. Ask her what she did." Shangguan Lingtian lowered his head and said nothing. He did not dare to offend Mr. Shangguan. He already knew what happened. His daughter Shangguan Lingwei did something wrong. However, it was rare for Mr. Shangguan to get so angry. Grandpa, Chu Yi is a rank 3 superpower. Even if he is extremely talented, you won't be so angry. Shangguan Lingwei was a little confused. In her world, the strong are respected. At this moment he also argued with reason, even if he is lucky enough to save your life, he is still a rank 3 superpower. This is an unchangeable fact. Why should Grandpa be angry for a rank 3 superpower? Shangguan Shaoshan suddenly burst out with an astonishing momentum, and the wildness and power like a beast reached its extreme in him. Shangguan Lingtian and Shangguan Lingwei looked at him in surprise, their hearts filled with shock and disbelief. This is the breath of a rank 9 superpower, Shangguan Lingwei exclaimed. Shangguan Lingtian said incredulously, Father, you have broken through to rank 9. Shangguan Lingwei, you disappoint me so much. Shangguan Shaoshan shook his head, his expression extremely disappointed. How could he have such an unfilial descendant, and how could he be so ignorant of people? He sighed, oh, little Chu Yi, my brother is not only unparalleled in heaven, he is simply a monster among monsters. He can make me break through from the peak of rank 8 to rank 9, this is proof. Shangguan Lingwei felt incredible that Chu Yi's vitality could actually allow a person with powers at the peak of rank 8 to break through to rank 9. Shangguan Lingtian also looked shocked. Chu Yi still underestimated him to have such ability. Rank 9 superpowers are the highest peak in the world of superpowers. If there are 100 rank 8 superpowers, then there can only be one rank 9 superpower among these 100. Breaking through from rank 8 to rank 9 is a huge chasm. But now, this huge natural chasm has been broken through because of Chu Yi's treatment. Of course, it contains the achievements accumulated by Mr. Shangguan over the years, but this is too incredible. Father, since Chu Yi is so important, what should we do now? Ling Wei has offended Chu Yi. Is there any way to remedy this? Shangguan Lingtian said. Well, I have taught you since you were a child that you should be humble when dealing with people regardless of their rank. Shangguan Shaoshan said helplessly, and then his tone became stern again, now you can find a way to remedy it yourself. Also, Dongli the sea beasts in the city have launched a war. Shangguan Lingwei, you must go to the battlefield in Dongli City. Yes, I will go to Dongli City immediately. Shangguan Lingwei heard the meaning of Grandpa's words and nodded to express understanding. 2 days passed in a hurry, and Chu Yi and Fatty finally arrived at the easternmost seaside of Dongli City. The seawater glowed blue under the sunlight, but there was a faint smell of blood filling the air. Brother Chu, we are finally here. The fat man said panting, holding his knees with both hands, and hissed repeatedly, ha. Ha, let me take a rest first. He found a huge stone and leaned against it. He sat down and breathed heavily. Chu Yi didn't speak, just stood aside and stared into the distance. The fat man's eyes suddenly became a little weird. He couldn't help but look at Chu Yi and said curiously, Brother Chu, you don't look tired at all. It's time for you to lose weight, fat man. Chu Yi joked. Ha ha ha, Brother Chu, please stop teasing me. The fat man didn't care and continued, the strange beasts in the sea are difficult to deal with, and I can't move underwater. Chu Yi was not surprised when he heard Fatty's words. Ordinary superpowers really couldn't move underwater, but he was different. He had water attribute superpowers. I can move underwater, Chu Yi said surprisingly. What, Brother Chu, are you kidding me? This is too exaggerated. You can't be an alien beast in disguise. The fat man's expression was a little exaggerated, and his tone was extremely shocked. Chu Yi smiled and shook his head, and said in a deep voice, No, I have the elemental power of water attribute. Holy shit, Brother Chu, are you such a monster? The fat man was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. Ha 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 ha. Chu Yi continued to tease, your Rui golden cudgel is also very strong. You are a man whose inspiration will be suppressed for 500 years. I don't want to be suppressed for 500 years, ha ha ha. The fat man laughed, and then continued to ask, Brother Chu, what are we going to do now? We can't just wait like this, right? At this moment, various plans were flashing through Chu Yi's mind. When he was frowning, a wisp of breeze passed by, gently fluttering his clothes. Fat man, you can freely hunt strange beasts on the shore. With your strength, you should be able to play a big role. He took a deep breath and said to the fat man with firm eyes, "And I am alone. Go fight underwater until the war is over." When the fat man heard this plan, he nodded firmly and said, "Okay." As soon as he finished speaking, Chuyi jumped up and jumped into the sea with a crash. At this moment, he felt that his body had turned into a part of the sea. This was the power of water. The energy in the water was constantly pouring into Chuyi's body, and his cultivation speed was so much faster. "It feels like I'm getting stronger all the time in the sea. My speed, strength, and perception have all gone up a level. Very good." Chuyi couldn't help but feel a little excited. He quickly swam toward the deep sea, his eyes quickly scanning the scene in front of him. Earthshaker was shocked to find that there were countless strange beasts gathered in front of him, in the form of various fishes. Most of them were strange beasts rank 2 or above, and there were rank 3 and even rank 4 beasts. When Chuyi's figure appeared in the sight of the sea beasts, for a moment, the sea beasts were like ignited explosives and began to besiege Chuyi manically. What are these strange beasts going crazy about, but they can devour a lot of them? Chuyi frowned, the deep sea blue was faint, and he instantly transformed into a god-killing spear, and a killing intent suddenly surged. Gun shadows intertwined, crisscrossed, and a thrilling killing feast began. His shooting skills were like a violent storm, and every shot hit the target with incomparable accuracy, and the deep sea was instantly dyed blood red. The god-killing spear transformed into an indestructible sharp arrow in Chuyi's hands. It shuttled through the ocean and killed each of the sea beasts under the spear. The devouring force greedily gnawed away at the beasts' bodies like a teoti beast. Energy, Chuyi felt that the power in his body was growing. Ouch! The alien beasts kept dying and being devoured. This feeling of increasing strength made him extremely happy. Have fun, come again. Chuyi laughed wildly, his figure swimming in the deep sea. His marksmanship was as elegant as poetry, but it also contained endless murderous intent. Every shot would be accompanied by the death of a strange beast. In this way, Chuyi kept killing, devouring, and heading towards the deep sea. The strange sea beasts he encountered became more and more powerful. On the other side, Dongli City. There were countless powerful superpowers gathered at this moment, and the most dazzling among them was Shangguan Lingwei. Shangguan Lingwei, a rank 8 summoning superpower, is rumored to have an extremely powerful being hidden in her body. Her long hair fell on her shoulders like a black waterfall, and the slight wind blew like black wings dancing around her. At this time, a rank 6 superpower user made a voice and said, "Shangguan Lingwei, you are the strongest here, tell me what to do about the current situation." Yes, Miss Shangguan is a strong person from Yanjing City. With her as the leader, we will fight against the sea beasts. In an instant, everyone's words of praise for Shangguan Lingwei poured in like a river, which made it work for her. It seemed that everyone was conquered by Shangguan Lingwei's beauty. The ocean beasts have already attacked for the first time, and the second attack will surely come soon. Shangguan Lingwei sounded arrogant, and she said coldly, "My suggestion is to send a small number of people to stay on the east coast. Prevent the attack of the ocean beasts. Once the ocean beasts dare to attack again, we will have enough time to resist." At this moment, the superpowers showed their support without hesitation. "Okay, we agree. As expected of the goddess Shangguan, she is unparalleled in wisdom, we agree." The cheers came one after another, like a group of crazy fans chasing stars. At this moment, a gorgeous woman quietly appeared in the crowd. She is covered in purple gauze, and the purple clothes are gently fluttering. Her figure is graceful, like a blooming purple lotus, gentle and noble. Nangong Shirong, Shangguan Lingwei, you are so confused. The strange beasts of the Sea Clan are mysterious and unpredictable existences. The woman sighed softly, with a hint of warning in her voice. Your decision will put those who stay on the east coast into danger. Edge. Shangguan Lingwei replied arrogantly, "Oh, Nangong Shirong, you are just too kind and kind. If you want to defeat the sea beasts, such sacrifices are inevitable. How can there be no immortality in war?" Nangong Shirong took a deep breath and said to the many superpowers, "My suggestion is to first send an elite team into the deep sea to find out the information about the alien beasts. As long as we grasp the movements of the alien beasts, your chances of winning will be even greater." At this moment, someone in the crowd suddenly shouted, "This is the Nangong family in Dongli City, the rank 8 lightning power user, Nangong Shirong. The uneasiness among the crowd began to spread. Nangong Shirong, a well-known superpower in the Dragon Kingdom, her reputation was even worse than that of Shangguan Lingwei. Her beauty and strength make her a dream girl for men. Nangong Shirong, don't think that because we are both rank 8, you can be superior. Shangguan Lingwei's sharp eyes were locked on Nangong Shirong. It doesn't matter if you are high above others. This is Dongli City, not your Yanjing City. Nangong Shirong looked sarcastic, her eyes exuding wisdom, and said unhurriedly, do you think the Shangguan family can survive in Longshan City? Can the country cover the sky with just one hand? This sentence is too strong. In the Dragon Kingdom, one hand covers the sky. If Shangguan Lingwei dared to admit it, it would be tantamount to declaring war with all the wealthy families in the 4 major cities. No matter how powerful his Shangguan family was, he could not be the opponent of all the wealthy families. Time passed slowly, and half a month passed. At this moment, Chu Yi had reached about 8,000 meters under the sea. There were obviously many fewer strange beasts here. However, the strange beasts here are much stronger than those in the shallow sea area. Half a month, more than 1,000 crystal nuclei, I wonder if I can break through rank 4 in one fell swoop. He stared at the thousands of crystal nuclei in the space ring, his eyes shining with excitement. Alas, I don't know when I can feed this tree of origin seed. Chu Yi felt the tree of origin seed in his body and sighed, no matter what, let's absorb the crystal core first and improve our strength. After saying that, he made a cross-legged position in the deep sea. He crossed his legs and crossed his legs, like a calm statue. He took a deep breath and began to absorb the energy of the crystal core. Then the surrounding seawater gathered towards Chu Yi like living creatures. The water energy in the water was like countless filaments, entwining around his body, forming a dense realm that shimmered with soft light. In Chu Yi's body, the primordial origin Wujikang was running, absorbing this energy. Energy gathered crazily in his body, and most of it rushed to the core of the tree of origin seed. Seeds, give me back my energy, Chu Yi complained in his heart. However, just as he was complaining, he felt that the seeds of the tree of origin in his body suddenly grew a little, and a sprout actually appeared. A faint hint of green began to spread from Chu Yi's heart, releasing an extremely majestic vitality. This bud seemed to have infinite vitality. As the bud continued to be nourished, the blood in Chu Yi's body seemed to be ignited. Average. The seeds of the tree of origin actually sprouted. My dear, they actually swallowed up so much energy from me before they sprouted. A mighty energy spread from the sprouts throughout the body, and every cell was bathed in this fountain of life. Rank 3, it's the peak state, but now I have extremely terrifying vitality flowing through my body. Unconsciously, a huge and terrifying megalodon quietly appeared. Its body was so huge that it was like a moving dark mountain, covering everything around it. The megalodon's fins tower into the clouds, like devil's wings in the darkness. Its eyes are deep and sharp, like 2 black diamonds shining with cold light, revealing endless ferocity and cruelty. The megalodon swims extremely fast, attacking Chu Yi like a black whirlwind. This aura is so strong. Chu Yi's eyes widened and he exclaimed, this is it. Deep sea megalodon, run quickly. Chu Yi reacted instantly. The deep sea megalodon is the strongest creature in the deep sea. He used all his strength to swim towards the deep sea, while the deep sea megalodon chased in the direction of Chu Yi. Human, don't run. The terrifying voice of the megalodon reached Chu Yi's ears. You can actually speak. Chu Yi was shocked. Human, why did you come to the deep sea? This is not the place you should be. The angry voice of the deep sea megalodon sounded. Brother Megalodon, I have no intention of offending, please stop chasing me. I'll leave immediately. Chu Yi ran away while shouting in the direction where the megalodon was chasing, I can leave immediately now deep sea, please stop chasing me. Leave, you still want to leave. You humans have destroyed our home, and you still want to leave now. The megalodon was extremely angry. Chu Yi felt a headache at this moment. He guessed that this deep-sea megalodon had reached rank 7 or even rank 8. If he faced it head-on, he would definitely lose. I didn't destroy your home. Please believe me. This is my first time here. Chu Yi shouted with a sincere expression. Hearing Chu Yi's words, the megalodon instantly became even more angry. Humans, what a hypocritical creature. The fins flapped rapidly and rushed towards Chu Yi at high speed. Chu Yi felt a chill in his heart, and immediately activated all the energy in his body and rushed towards the deep sea quickly. However, the megalodon swims faster. Its huge body shuttles rapidly through the water, like a black ghost, chasing after it. Chu Yi felt helpless and thought about countermeasures. Finally, he decided to turn around and fight the megalodon to the death. He stopped suddenly and his eyes were fixed on the huge megalodon in front of him. Its body exuded a frightening and ferocious aura. A trace of determination flashed in Chu Yi's heart, and he held the god-killing spear tightly in his hand without flinching. He said firmly to the megalodon, "Are you sure you want to be my enemy? Humans, go to hell." The megalodon's voice resounded through the bottom of the sea like a violent storm, shaking the entire ocean. The megalodon opened its bloody mouth, and its terrifying sharp teeth rushed toward Chu Yi like a ghost. He suddenly felt a strong attraction, which was like a black hole. "This is such a strong attraction, I can only try it this way." Chu Yi secretly thought something was wrong. In an instant, the megalodon opened its huge mouth and swallowed Chu Yi whole in one mouthful. His body quickly entered the stomach of the megalodon. Chu Yi was sizing up the environment here. The surroundings were filled with suffocating gas, and highly corrosive acid flowed quietly and hissed. Corrosive gas permeates the surroundings, eroding everything silently like a ghost. This terrifying sight makes people feel chilly, as if they are on the edge of hell. In this environment, the speed of cultivation is faster. Chu Yi narrowed his eyes slightly, sat cross-legged, and ran the primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu to stimulate the vitality of the seeds of the tree of origin. Chu Yi's body was tortured by corrosion, and every time he seemed to be eroded by ruthless venom, but the vitality in his body was like an unyielding torrent, constantly surging and repairing his body. This repeated exercise made his body stronger and stronger, and the primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu also broke through to the second level in the process. Primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu actually broke through to the second level. Chu Yi looked a little excited, and was shocked in his heart. The strength has at least doubled, the physical strength is at least several times what it was before, and the strength has also increased a lot. This primordial origin's Wuji Kung Fu is so powerful. Theoretically, primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu is a technique that can be infinitely improved. As long as you continue to practice, it can even be upgraded to 100 levels, 1,000 levels, or even 10,000 levels. It's so terrifying. Chu Yi sat cross-legged on the ground excitedly and began to practice primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu. His body is constantly being corroded and then reassembled, and this process is repeated again and again. Every corrosion made his body tougher, and every reorganization made his body stronger. I don't know how long it took, but Chu Yi was no longer afraid of the acid here. "Ha ha ha ha, Megalodon, what else can you do to me?" Chu Yi laughed crazily. At this moment, the Megalodon heard Chu Yi's voice in his stomach, and he was instantly shocked and said, "Human, you are not dead yet. How is that possible? A mere acid is worthy of killing me. Just live out your spring and autumn dreams." Chu Yi snorted coldly and said arrogantly, "Tell me, how do you want to die? Kill me if you can, you human being." The Megalodon roared with extreme anger. Without saying a word, Chu Yi transformed into a god-killing spear, and with a slight wave, a spear shadow streaked across the stomach wall of the Megalodon. A wound instantly appeared on the stomach wall, with a trace of evil aura on the wound. The slightest hint of pain made the Megalodon aware of the crisis. Its voice was a little frightened. "Human, what have you done?" Megalodon, "Right, I didn't do anything." Chu Yi chuckled and said teasingly, "He he he. I just put a little something in your body. I can do it anytime now. They can kill you. Evil humans, kill them if you want. Our deep sea tribe will not let you go." Chu Yi was full of doubts at this moment. According to common sense, people with superpowers would not go to the deep sea to hunt for strange beasts, but the Megalodon is so hostile to humans. There must be something fishy about this. "Megalodon, let me ask you, why do you hate humans so much?" Chu Yi asked in confusion. "HMPH, you humans destroyed our home, and all our lower-level compatriots were killed by you." The Megalodon's voice was filled with hatred and incomparable anger. "Are you pretending not to know anything now, hypocritical humans?" Quote. Chu Yi was stunned and decided to find out the whole story. Then he said, "I don't have to kill you, but you have to tell me everything you know." The megalodon was silent for a long time, as if it could sense the sincerity in Chuyi's heart, and it didn't want to die. Just half a year ago, a group of human superpowers launched a merciless massacre against our deep-sea tribe. What's even more terrifying is that they released a powerful virus in the deep sea, pushing us to a desperate situation. Its voice was low and deep. Yuyuan, with a hint of lamentation, said, "Alas, we are forced to have no choice but to come to this place." Then do you know who those people are? Chuyi was shocked when he heard this. He didn't expect that there would be humans attacking the ocean. "I don't know, but they have the faces of your Orientals." Megalodon's voice was a little excited. "Impossible. As far as I know, the Dragon Kingdom is already too busy dealing with the strange beasts on land. It's impossible to have the energy to go to the deep sea to attack you." Chuyi retorted instantly. He suddenly thought of a possibility and asked hurriedly, "Is their location just to the east?" "And it's not far from our current location." "How do you know?" Megalodon's surprised voice sounded. "Megalodon, are you interested in making a deal?" Chuyi said. "Human, do you know what you are talking about? You actually want to make a deal with us alien beasts?" The megalodon's slightly mocking voice echoed in the ocean. Chuyi faced the megalodon's contempt, but he did not flinch. There was a trace of confidence in his eyes, and he slowly said, "I can help you kill the people who destroyed your home." "Really? Then what do we need to pay?" The megalodon's eyes flickered slightly. Chuyi said proudly, "How about you give up the attack on Dongli City, our country?" "Human, why do you prove that you have the ability to destroy those superpowers?" Megalodon asked in confusion. "Ha ha ha, Megalodon, have you noticed the evil energy in your body? As long as I think about it, you will be swallowed up." Chuyi smiled contemptuously. "It's not up to me to give up the attack on Dongli City." Megalodon's voice was filled with helplessness. Chuyi smiled and continued, "Then who is your supreme commander?" "The supreme commander of our sea clan, and even the entire alien beast, is the Dragon King." The megalodon's rather proud voice sounded. As soon as he finished speaking, Chuyi was startled. "Dragon race, this legendary creature actually exists." Chuyi thought for a moment and asked, "What is the strength of the Dragon King?" The megalodon's proud voice sounded, as if the Dragon Emperor was itself. "The Dragon Emperor is of course the most powerful existence in the world, an invincible, unparalleled existence. I asked you about the Dragon King's strength, and I didn't let you flatter me." Chuyi was helpless. The head of the megalodon seemed a bit stupid. "Of course the Dragon King is the strongest. In the words of you humans, he is at the top of rank 9. The megalodon's proud voice sounded. Chuyi asked with a suspicious look on his face, "Rank 9 peak? Why don't you, the Dragon King, be so powerful and destroy those who destroyed your homeland? It's all the fault of those hateful humans who used all means to besiege the Dragon King and try to get the Dragon King's crystal core." The giant tooth shark's body instantly emitted terrifying energy, and an angry voice rang out, "It is said that the Dragon King has been seriously injured and is missing. Although I don't know if it's true, but those humans really deserve to die." "Okay, then who is the leader of your attack?" Chuyi felt that this guy seemed a bit unreliable. The megalodon said without hesitation, "There is no leader, just some soldiers and crabs organizing their own attacks, but the number is just a bit large." When Chuyi heard this, he breathed a sigh of relief. "Open your mouth and I will come out of your body." The megalodon was overjoyed. Chuyi was finally coming out. Suddenly, its bloody mouth opened, and Chuyi reappeared in the deep sea like a stream of light. "Hoo-hoo, it's still comfortable outside." Chuyi immediately withdrew the evil spirit from the giant tooth shark, and then injected a life force to heal it. "Okay, Megalodon, do you have any other plans? I promise you, I will help you kill those guys." "Definitely." Chuyi's voice was firm and sincere. The megalodon seemed to feel Chuyi's determination, and said in a somewhat innocent tone, "I didn't expect you humans to have such a good person like you. It's a pity that I am only rank 7 now and can't turn into a human form, otherwise I will definitely go to you. Look at the human world." Chuyi was standing on top of the giant tooth shark at this moment, and said curiously, "Oh. Can you alien beasts still transform?" "Of course, as long as our alien beasts reach rank 9, they can transform into human form, but there are very few alien beasts that can reach rank 9. Megalodon said proudly. Chuyi was silent. Alien beasts can actually take shape. Is it possible that they can take shape and hide in the human world? It's terrifying to think about it. Megalodon, I'm going back to the human world, Chu Yi said calmly. You want to go back? The Megalodon was surprised. A bold idea suddenly appeared in its mind. Human, are you interested in getting my power? What do you mean? Chu Yi asked confused. Megalodon explained. The summoning power users among you humans actually have a strange creature in their bodies. They can summon the creatures in their bodies to fight at any time. But there is another way to become a summoning power user. Is there such a thing? What method? Chu Yi said excitedly. The Megalodon continued to explain to Chu Yi. We alien beasts can voluntarily become human beings' guardian beasts, allowing humans to obtain our power, which is equivalent to humans raising an alien beast in their bodies. This is a method that only alien beasts can know. As far as I know, no other alien beast has tried it. After Chu Yi thought for a moment, he said solemnly, do you want it? Have you really thought about it? As long as you can kill those who destroyed my home, I will do anything you ask me to do. And in this way, I can also see those abominable human deaths with my own eyes. The Megalodon's voice was filled with a hint of loneliness. As soon as he finished speaking, the body of the deep-sea Megalodon turned into a stream of black energy, which suddenly poured into Dao Chuyi's body, and a terrifying force danced wildly in his blood. At that moment, there was a mysterious space in his body, and in it, the deep-sea Megalodon was quietly awakening. Chu Yi's body underwent huge changes in an instant, and extremely powerful energy flowed through every inch of his skin. So strong, every aspect of his body has been horribly enhanced, especially in the water. Chu Yi said excitedly. Although my realm has not improved, my strength has increased several times. When he tried to move in the water, circles of vortices appeared out of thin air around his body, dancing with his thoughts. It is indeed a giant tooth of the deep sea. Shark, so scary. At this moment, the mysterious space in Chu Yi's body showed a deep sea scene, a vast deep sea. A huge and terrifying deep sea Megalodon was among them. Chu Yi communicated with the deep-sea Megalodon in his body. I'll call you Little Shark from now on. Ha ha ha. The deep-sea Megalodon nodded in acquiescence. At this moment, the Little Shark's voice sounded in Chu Yi's mind. Chu Yi, how do you feel? I am in the protective space inside your body. Very strong, several times stronger than before. So this is the guardian space you mentioned. Chu Yi said excitedly. Shao Shark said excitedly. Well, this method is indeed unique. It seems that no strange beast has tried it. I feel that I am in a state of pure energy, and my cultivation speed is even faster than before. Chu Yi, try urging activate the power that protects the space. Chu Yi concentrated on activating the energy in the guardian space, and a majestic force brewed around him. In an instant, this power turned into a gray-white energy coat that surrounded his body like a cloak. His hair also changed, from the original black as night to a bright gray-white. This is the form of a strange beast. The strength, perception, and speed have all been greatly improved. But the most important thing is that it is handsome, Chu Yi said to himself. Chu Yi then asked Shao Shark in the guarding space, Little Shark, how is your consumption? There is almost no consumption, and the speed of recovery can completely keep up with the speed of consumption. However, this may be because it is in the deep sea. It may not be so exaggerated on land, Shao Shark said in surprise. After listening, Chu Yi quickly rushed towards the top of the deep sea, speeding towards the top of the deep sea as fast as lightning. His figure passed through the deep sea at a jaw-dropping speed. This was the wonderful use of his transformed form. After a while, there was a crash sound, and Chu Yi's sea shattering came out and had reached the sea. He asked Little Shark in the guardian space, how's it going, Little Shark, how is the consumption now? The consumption is much greater now than before, and it can last for about 10 days. Xiaoxia's voice sounded in his mind. Chu Yi nodded with satisfaction. It was worthy of being a deep-sea Megalodon. This energy was indeed terrifying. Chu Yi, this guardian space can keep me in a state of cultivation all the time. Shao Shark's voice sounded. Great, with your help, Xiaoxia, as long as you give me a while, we can destroy those guys from the Japanese country. Chu Yi's eyes were determined, he gritted his teeth, and his voice was full of domineering. Chu Yiru quickly walked towards the shore, leaving a bright stream of light on the water. The wind blew against his face, bringing a touch of coolness, which seemed to echo his speed. After a while, he had reached the shore, and Chu Yi instantly returned to his normal form. I saw a group of supernatural beings gathered on the shore, fighting with strange beasts. Flames danced, arcs flashed, ice condensed, and all kinds of amazing powers were displayed on everyone's body. Is this already a war? But these are low-level beasts. Chu Yi thought to himself. I saw the fat man waving the Rui golden cudgel among the strange beasts. The golden cudgel turned into a golden light in his hand, and every time he waved it, it brought about a strong storm. The fat man's figure flickered in and out, his movements were as fast as lightning, and every blow was accurate and powerful, knocking those strange beasts to the ground mercilessly. Fat man, Chu Yi shouted loudly, and then quickly came to the fat man's side. When the fat man saw Chu Yi, his expression was ecstatic, and he urged frantically, "Great, Brother Chu, you are back, great. Get rid of these strange beasts quickly, there are too many, we can't kill them." When Chu Yi heard this, he did his duty, and immediately transformed into a god-killing spear, and rushed into the group of strange beasts, fighting for a while. Bang, bang, bang. There were loud battle sounds, devastating and extremely fast. Killing the strange beasts one after another as fast as lightning. Chu Yi's eyes turned cold, and he instantly transformed into the form of a strange beast. His gray hair fell down like a waterfall, and his energy coat tightly wrapped him, exuding an unparalleled domineering force. His overwhelming power left people stunned. Holy shit, Brother Chu, what kind of look do you have, you're so handsome. The fat man shouted in surprise. Stop looking, kill the strange beast quickly. Chu Yi reminded. After fighting for who knows how long, Chu Yi finally looked at the piles of corpses of strange beasts on the coast. After this time, the attack was finally over. At this moment, the surrounding superpowers were all looking at Chu Yi, and his performance was really amazing. At this moment, a young man with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes, holding a long sword, walked slowly towards Chu Yi. Hello, my name is Jian Wufeng. He smiled slightly. Hello, I'm Chu Yi. I wonder if Jian Wufeng has come to see me for any business. Chu Yi said with cupped hands. Jian Wufeng smiled and said, I just see that you are strong, Brother Chu Yi, so I came here to make friends with you. Haha, easy to say. Chu Yi laughed. They immediately came to a luxurious hotel, where Chu Yi, Fatty and Jian Wufeng sat at a gorgeous round table. The fat man sat next to Chu Yi. His belly bulged like a hill, and his broad shoulders made him look taller and stronger. Jian Wufeng sat on the other side of the table. His figure was tall and tall, like a sharp sword. I wonder why you invited us here. Chu Yi spoke first. I just want to make you a friend. Jian Wufeng said. Chu Yi didn't believe Jian Wufeng's words. He continued. Since Brother Jian just wants to make a simple friendship, we have already made friends now. I have something important to do, so I will leave first. After Chu Yi finished speaking, he suddenly stood up. Seeing this, the fat man next to him also stood up. His fat body seemed to become more flexible in an instant. Jian Wufeng, you did a good job, you can go now. At this moment, a beautiful and graceful figure appeared. It turned out to be Shangguan Lingwei. Jian Wufeng sighed, as if he had completed his task. He bowed his hands to Chu Yi apologetically, and then walked out of the hotel. The fat man said excitedly to Chu Yi, Brother Chu, this is Shangguan Lingwei. The real goddess. Chu Yi ignored Fatty's words. He didn't like this woman very much, even a little disgusted. If possible, Chu Yi would rather not see this woman for the rest of his life. But God is not as good as man, and now we have met him, and it seems that he is coming directly towards him. Fat man, let's go. Chu Yi looked cold and walked out of the hotel after speaking, with the fat man following behind. Chu Yi, stop. Shangguan Lingwei's slightly arrogant voice sounded. Chu Yi remained unmoved and continued walking out, as if he didn't hear what Shangguan Lingwei said. Shangguan Lingwei was a little angry when she saw Chu Yi pretending to be deaf and dumb. She was in front of Chu Yi in an instant and blocked their way. Chu Yi, stop here, don't you hear me? Shangguan Lingwei said arrogantly. Chu Yi frowned and said in a cold tone, who are you? Why are you blocking my way? Shangguan Lingwei frowned and said, Chu Yi, my Shangguan family promised you that I would do something for you, don't you forget it. Chu Yi said with some disgust, Shangguan Lingwei, get out of my way. Don't you know that a good dog doesn't block the way? The fat man was stunned on the side. This was too fierce. He dared to call Shangguan Lingwei a dog. Awesome, really awesome. Brother Chu, am the most powerful. Fatty secretly gave Chu Yi a thumbs up in his heart. When Shangguan Lingwei heard Chu Yi's words, an angry flame suddenly surged in her heart. Chu Yi, do you know what you were talking about just now? Shangguan Lingwei's voice was full of disdain and ridicule. I don't know what's good or bad. He's just a rank 3 ant. As he said that, Shangguan Lingwei's rank 8 superpowers aura exploded instantly and quickly enveloped Chu Yi. Chu Yi could feel every hair on his body stand on end, and his heartbeat also accelerated. Dare to humiliate me, you are seeking death. Shangguan Lingwei's eyes were shining with fire-like light, her hands were clenched into fists, and veins popped out on her knuckles. A faint golden light appeared on her skin, like a layer of mysterious armor. Her figure was even more enchanting, as beautiful and dangerous as a blooming flower. As the momentum approached, Chu Yi felt a huge pressure, as if the whole world was oppressing him. Haha, come on, I'm not who I was before. Chu Yi was fearless. I saw Chu Yi transforming into a god-killing spear, his alien beast form instantly opened, his gray hair fell like a waterfall, and his energy coat wrapped him tightly. I haven't seen you for half a month, and you have grown to this point. Shangguan Lingwei was slightly startled, and then said disdainfully, but so what if the strength increases, ants are still just ants after all. I've long been unhappy with you. Come on. Chu Yi pointed his gun at Shangguan Lingwei. The battle between Chu Yi and Shangguan Lingwei was about to break out. At the critical moment, a red figure suddenly appeared like lightning. It was Feng Qingyan. His eyes widened and he shouted to Shangguan Lingwei, Shangguan Lingwei, stop. Do you want to kill Chu Yi? Feng Qingyan, get out of my way, I will teach this guy a lesson today. Shangguan Lingwei said angrily. Feng Qingyan stood in front of Chu Yi and said to Shangguan Lingwei, Shangguan Lingwei, have you forgotten what your grandfather said to you? Don't worry, as long as I'm here, she won't be able to touch you today. Then she turned to Chu Yi and said, Feng Qingyan, you want to stop me? Shangguan Lingwei said again immediately. Feng Qingyan's expression remained calm, and her voice was as calm as a clear spring, but with firm determination. Yes, Shangguan Lingwei, what you did is too much. There was a hint of disappointment in her voice. Shangguan Lingwei's eyes were like lightning, and she looked directly at Feng Qingyan, with a hint of disbelief in her tone. Am I going too far? Do you want to fall out with me just because of Chu Yi? There was still a sense of arrogance in her voice. At this moment, Chu Yi breathed a sigh of relief and returned to his normal form. He didn't want to fight with the rank 8 superpower yet. Although his strength can transcend levels and his evil aura is extremely powerful, the prerequisite is to hit the opponent, but it is extremely difficult to hit a rank 8 superpower. Let's go, Fatty, Chu Yi said to Fatty. Chu Yi, do you still want to leave? Even if Feng Qingyan protects you today, I will let you taste my power. Shangguan Ling's expression was cold, and then he looked at Feng Qingyan and said angrily, and you, Feng Qingyan, I advise you not to stop me, otherwise you will become my enemy. Let's go to the sky and fight. Feng Qingyan said not to be outdone. Okay, if you want to fight, then fight, Shangguan Lingwei said. After a while, in the sky, Feng Qingyan was wearing a tight-fitting red dress. Her devilishly fiery figure looked extremely attractive. Flame-like heat waves radiated from her body, as if it could ignite the entire sky. At the same time, Shangguan Lingwei clenched her hands tightly, and a huge dragon shadow emerged from behind her. The battle between the two was extremely fierce, and their figures flickered in and out of the sky, like bright meteors streaking across the night sky. The fat man stared at the fight between the two women with his mouth open, and Earthshaker said, Brother Chu, the sky seems to be trembling, they are too strong. Chu Yi said teasingly, Fat man, you are also a transmigrator after all. One day you will be stronger than them. Chu Yi, I feel the breath of dragon race. Suddenly, Xiaoxia's voice came from Chu Yi's mind, and I also feel the breath of the rank 9 strongman, who is fighting dragon race. Xiao Shark, are you sure you didn't sense it wrong? Chu Yi said in surprise. Xiaoxia said firmly. Absolutely, a breath of rank 9 strongman and a breath of dragon race. This Feng Qingyan turned out to be a rank 9 strongman. He is really hiding it. This kind of person is too scary. Try to stay away from him in the future. Chu Yi was a little shocked. The battle here has alarmed all the superpowers in Dongli City, and the momentum of the battle is unprecedentedly huge. You actually reached rank 9, why didn't you tell me? Shangguan Lingwei said in surprise. Why should I tell you? Feng Qingyan said calmly. No fight, take Chu Yi away. Shangguan Lingwei still gave in. She can't beat the rank 9 superpower now. Feng Qingyan smiled, with a hint of threat in her tone, and said to Shangguan Lingwei, Shangguan Lingwei, I advise you not to cause trouble for Chu Yi in the future. He is very important to me and I will not allow him to die. Quote. Are you willing to fall out with me for Chu Yi? Shangguan Lingwei was in disbelief. You don't understand the importance of Chu Yi. His potential is beyond your imagination. Feng Qingyan said. Suddenly, a purple-clothed figure appeared. That person was Nangong Shirong. She was wearing a gorgeous purple robe, like a blooming violet, and her body seemed to be surrounded by faint thunder and lightning. Nangong Shirong walked slowly in front of everyone. Her eyes were like lightning, revealing her firm determination. Her voice was full of power, and she said to Feng Qingyan and Shangguan Lingwei, in a battle of this level, are you planning to kill all the innocent civilians in Dongli City? Shangguan Lingwei was in an extremely unhappy mood at the moment. She didn't expect that Feng Qingyan had already reached rank 9. She happened to see Nangong Shirong arriving. Shangguan Lingwei, who was still angry, mocked Nangong City. Nangong Shirong, you old woman, stop meddling in other people's business, you are just a pariah, kill me if you want. Nangong Shirong is usually easygoing and kind. But when he heard this, he became angry and said angrily to Shangguan Lingwei, Shangguan Lingwei, I wanted to save your face for the sake of the Shangguan family. Don't be shameless. Back then, Mr. Shangguan Shaoshan is so dedicated to the country and the people, how could he have unfilial descendants like you? Shangguan Lingwei laughed angrily and said, Haha, what age is it now and you are still mentioning those old almanacs? It has been hundreds of years since the spiritual energy was revived. In today's world, only the weak eat the strong and the fittest survive. Nangong Shirong, you are so naive, why are there people like you in the world? Since you are so inhumane, you are not welcome in Dongli City, so you can leave now. You guys are so aggressive in our Dongli City, shouldn't you give an explanation? Nangong Shirong ignored Shangguan Lingwei's taunting. Said calmly, many civilians have been frightened now, and some have even been injured. Please use 10 billion to compensate. When Feng Qingyan heard this, she said to Nangong Shirong, look for her, her family is rich. Feng Qingyan pointed at Shangguan Lingwei and flew away into the distance as soon as she finished speaking. Please like and subscribe. Chapter 31. Then Shangguan Lingwei will bear the compensation alone. Nangong Shirong said with a raised eyebrow. Shangguan Lingwei didn't want to get entangled with her at this moment, so she simply said, look for that person named Chu Yi, this matter started because of him. After that, he walked away. Chu Yi was surprised, these people must be shameless. Can you blame me for all this? Do you want to save face? He cursed in his heart. Are you Chu Yi? At this moment, Nangong Shirong was staring at Chu Yi closely, her eyes searching and sharp. Chu Yi felt Nangong Shirong's sharp gaze. He took a deep breath, kept calm, smiled slightly and said, yes, I am Chu Yi. Nangong Shirong frowned in confusion. Her voice was filled with confusion, the two of them actually fought over you. There was a hint of shock and disbelief in her eyes. Chu Yi sighed helplessly and said with a wry smile, it does have a little bit to do with me. A shrewd light flashed in Nangong Shirong's eyes, in that case, you will bear the 10 billion. 10 billion, that's too much. Chu Yi looked helpless. He glanced at Nangong Shirong and continued, I don't have that much money. It doesn't matter if you don't. Nangong Shirong smiled and shook her head gently, with your strength, as long as you join my Nangong family, you will be considered one of your own, and naturally you don't need to pay these 10 billion. Good guy, this was his original idea. What would happen to his dream if he really joined the Nangong family? After Chu Yi frowned and thought for a moment, he solemnly said to Nangong Shirong, yes, but only after I complete my dream. Dream, What is your dream? Nangong Shirong asked curiously. Chu Yi did not hesitate and immediately said, destroy the Japanese country, destroy the rice country, and there will be world peace and no war. Nangong Shirong, everyone was dumbfounded at this moment. How could there be such a person, who would destroy the country at every turn? It's impossible to realize your dream, no. She shook her head and said. Chu Yi looked helpless, spread his hands, and said confidently, then there is nothing you can do. It's because you don't believe me, it's not that I don't want to. Nangong Shirong obviously saw Chu Yi's potential and wanted to take him for her own use. How could Chu Yi not know this? Chu Yi thought deeply. Fatty has no choice but to sell you. He said, I don't have 10 billion, but this Qin Tianju can help you for a year. His level is higher than mine. Nangong Shirong looked at the fat man, nodded and said, is this fat man? He can barely do it. Chu Yi looked serious and said to the fat man, what do you think? You didn't consider the fat man's feelings at all. You asked me how I was doing, and you agreed, so you still asked me. Have you respected me? Brother Chu, what are you doing? The fat man said. In 1 year, I will return to Dongli City. Chu Yi patted the fat man on the shoulder, and then said with a solemn expression, I still have very important things to do now. Are you going to that place? The fat man was stunned. He seemed to have guessed where Chu Yi was going. Chu Yi nodded, speechless then spoken. With tears in his eyes, the fat man said goodbye reluctantly. Brother Chu, you must come back alive. I look forward to your good news. Well, I will. Chu Yi's firm voice came from the distance. After the two said goodbye, Fatty reluctantly followed Nangong Shirong's footsteps. Nangong Shirong has a beautiful figure. Her slender legs are walking gracefully in the breeze, and her long hair is illuminated by the delicate sunlight, flowing down like a waterfall, stroking her slender shoulders. Although the fat man was bloated, his steps were as steady and powerful as 10,000 tons of thunder. Nangong Shirong, fat man, you are lucky, it depends on whether you can grasp it. Chu Yi said to himself. After saying that, he took steps and flew towards the east coast. His speed was extremely fast, and he was determined to set foot on the land of Japan himself. Japanese dogs, wait for me to slaughter you. Chu Yi's blood was boiling at the moment, and all he could think about was killing the Japanese. After a long time, above the sea, Chu Yi was sitting on the back of the little shark, feeling the speed of the little shark on the water. At the current speed, we can reach the coastline of Japan in half a day. Chu Yi's heart was surging. Chu Yi, is your current strength really good enough? Xiaoxia said in a solemn tone, telling an astonishing fact, those people are really insidious. Chu Yi's eyes were a little strange, and he said with a smile, little shark, do you know what is the most terrifying thing? That is the unknown things, and unknown abilities. With that said, Chu Yi activated the water clone in an instant. Suddenly, a clear stream of water vapor rose from Chu Yi's side, condensing into an identical clone. The water body's body is composed of water attribute energy and exudes a slight water attribute aura. Are you two of yourself? Xiao Shark asked in surprise. Haha, this is my water body. Chu Yi laughed and said, even if I can't beat them, I can keep fighting them. I believe that one day, I can kill those guys. At this moment, a huge cruise ship appeared in Chu Yi's sight in front of him. It's a Japanese cruise ship. His voice was full of excitement. It was a luxury cruise ship, soaring like a flock of huge seabirds on the sea. Little shark, you go back to the Guardian space first. I'll go meet them. After Chu Yi finished speaking, little shark turned into a stream of light and returned to Chu Yi's body. He instantly transformed into the form of a strange beast, and the god-killing spear appeared, holding it tightly in his hand. Chu Yi stared ahead, his eyes flashing with cold light. He had been waiting for this moment for too long and could no longer be suppressed. He took a deep breath, and his body suddenly burst out with powerful force, rushing towards the Japanese fleet like a meteor. The Japanese also discovered Chu Yi's figure at this moment, and spoke in Japanese, who are you? Of course Chu Yi knew what he was talking about. He had learned the Japanese language just for this day, but he didn't want to pay attention to what this Japanese person said. He arrived in front of the opponent in the blink of an eye, and the god-killing spear in his hand stabbed into the Japanese man's chest accurately. Why? The Japanese seemed to still not understand how they died before they died. Chuyi quickly arrived on the cruise ship. In front of him were several Japanese couples chatting in love. They all seemed to be members of the upper class. When they saw this scene, they were immediately frightened. Chuyi took a deep breath and looked at them with cold eyes, as if he could feel their fear. Suddenly, one of the Japanese men bravely shouted to Chuyi, "Who are you to kill here?" It's just that the man hasn't finished speaking yet. With a stab, he was stabbed into the chest by Chuyi's god-killing spear. He refused to look back. His eyes were cold and his voice was low and magnetic, as if with an invisible power. "Killing. I didn't kill anyone. I killed him. It's a dog." Chuyi asked the woman in Japanese language, "Are you the girlfriend of the man just now?" "No, I'm not." The woman nodded, then shook her head. "Oh, no, then die." In an instant, the woman was stabbed through the chest by the god-killing spear and died. "You die." Chuyi's low voice sounded, as if like a demon from hell, killing again and again, dying again and again, wailing again and again, "and you die. And you, all of them die." I saw a Japanese woman with trembling hands, begging for mercy on her knees, kowtowing her head, disheveled hair, looking extremely embarrassed. "No, don't kill me. I can do anything you ask me to do, please don't kill me." The woman's a pile of yellow liquid appeared under him, and he was so scared that he peed. Chuyi frowned. He had a misophobia. "Die, you dirty Japanese bitch." The god-killing gun instantly pierced the woman's chest and died. As Chuyi continued to massacre, on the bow of the cruise ship, countless Japanese corpses covered the entire area, seemingly telling their tragic experiences. The body parts were mutilated and the scene was so brutal that it was unbearable. In this bloody desolation, the last Japanese man roared, "Devil! You are a devil, you devil, Heavenly Sovereign will punish you." His voice was full of fear and unwillingness. "No, don't kill I." Chuyi looked at the Japanese man in front of him and smiled contemptuously. "How about we play a game? If you win, you can live." The man looked frightened and said tremblingly, "Really? What kind of game?" Chuyi smiled sinisterly. "Do you see what's next to you?" I saw a man who had been brutally dismembered lying next to him. The body had been completely destroyed, and his internal organs were disgustingly exposed. Chuyi had an evil expression on his face, pointed at the stumps and severed arms, and said, "Eat these within 10 minutes, and you can survive." The Japanese man was silent for a long time, looked at the broken limbs beside him, and said in a trembling voice, "After I eat it, are you sure you won't kill me?" Chuyi picked up the timer and his tone was extremely cold. Timing begins. 9:59, 9:58, 9:57, comma. Seeing that Chuyi had started to count down, the Japanese man did not hesitate and began to chew the broken limbs. The man suppressed his nausea and couldn't help but gasp. Chuyi felt disgusted just looking at it. The Japanese man vomited in pain. "Dow." Each time was accompanied by a disgusting sound. But he still resisted vomiting and nausea. In order to survive, he finally ate these stumps and broken arms, and there was still 1 minute left. The Japanese man endured extreme nausea and said tremblingly, "I've finished eating, you can let me go now." Chuyi looked at the man with a smile, his eyes showing a hint of ferocity and a hint of coldness. "What do you think?" After saying that, the god-killing spear stabbed the man through the chest, killing him. The Japanese man was in disbelief. "You are not honest, you." "I believe this, they are really stupid Japanese people." Chuyi looked like he wanted to laugh, and murmured to himself, "Be honest with the enemy. Are you afraid that you haven't woken up yet?" Immediately afterwards, Chuyi came inside the cruise ship. There are restaurants, swimming pools, and various entertainment facilities shining with attractive luster. Everything here seems to be designed to satisfy all people's desires, making people yearn for it. Chuyi's figure flashed to the side of the Japanese people in an instant, holding the god-killing gun in his hand, like a god descending, harvesting the lives of the Japanese people one by one. His body was as fast as the wind, and every shot hit the Japanese man's chest accurately, causing blood to splash everywhere. "Who are you and why are you killing people?" A Japanese man stood up and cursed angrily. Chuyi kept waving the god-killing spear with a crazy expression, killing again and again, and saying again and again, "Does it matter who I am? What's important is that you are going to die soon. Have you thought of your last words?" He sometimes felt like he was so kind that he actually let Japanese people write their last words. At this time, a Japanese man stood up with an extremely arrogant expression. He shouted threateningly, "I am Shabi Taisha. If you dare to try to kill me, the Shabi family will not let you go." Chuyi looked at this short, middle-aged Japanese man and smiled disdainfully. "Shabi. Idiot, what a powerful family." The god-killing spear instantly pierced the man named Shabi Taisha and died. "All of you, line up and come up one by one to receive death. Otherwise." Chuyi's deep voice spread to every corner of the cruise ship. A Japanese man begged loudly for mercy. "Don't kill me, I have never offended you, why do you want to kill me?" As soon as the man finished speaking, he felt a cold in his chest, and a black god-killing gun pierced his chest. "Ah, I don't want to die, He was already dead before he finished speaking. Chuyi's cold voice echoed on the cruise ship, like the whisper of death. "Why? To kill Japanese pirates, do you need to ask why?" At this time, another Japanese man appeared in front of Chuyi. This Japanese man turned out to be a superpower. He threatened Chuyi and said, "Who are you to kill like this? Aren't you afraid of the sanctions of the Heavenly Sovereign Society?" Chuyi turned a blind eye to the Japanese superpowers with disdain and held the god-killing spear tightly. "What is Heavenly Sovereign? Trash. And you, the Japanese superpower, are all rubbish." In an instant, the god-killing spear ruthlessly penetrated the chest of the Japanese superpower, blood spattered everywhere, and his life was taken away in an instant. "Go. Ah, don't kill me. Ah, no, I beg you, I will be your dog. Ah, Heavenly Sovereign will not let you go. Ah, don't kill. No, I still have several women. I don't want to die. Please don't kill me." The entire cruise ship was filled with Japanese people's screams, begging for mercy, and threats, and the smell of blood filled the air. Chuyi held the god-killing spear in his hand and inserted it into the Japanese people's chests one by one without mercy. The eyes of these Japanese people were full of despair and helplessness, and their faces were full of pain and fear. These bloody scenes are like a hell on earth. Finally, Chuyi confirmed that all the people on the cruise ship had been killed. There were probably more than 7,000 Japanese people. It's only more than 7,000, which is too little. Let's collect some interest first. 3 hours later, he was already 10,000 meters under the sea and decided to practice some training. Is this poisonous gas? There is such a strong poisonous gas in the deep sea. No wonder there are no deep sea beasts. Chuyi was very surprised. The poisonous gas was slowly seeping into Chuyi's body from the sea water. Shao Shark's angry voice sounded in Chuyi's mind. "Chuyi, this is the sea area, and those guys are the poisonous gas released in this sea area. So that's it." Chuyi suddenly realized, this poisonous gas is very harmful to the human body, but it is incredible that my primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu can be practiced with the help of this poisonous gas. Chuyi closed his eyes tightly and started to use primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu. The surrounding poisonous gas quickly surged toward his body like a demonic snake, and along with the leisurely spiritual energy in the water, it formed a magnificent aura. Time flies, and 3 days have passed in the blink of an eye. One day 3 days later, Japan issued a notice to the world. A luxury cruise ship in the country was attacked by mysterious people in the waters of the country. No one among the 7,568 people on the cruise ship was spared, and the murderer was suspected to be a master with a gun. The country has officially issued a wanted order. Who can find the murderer? Bounty: 100 billion Japanese dollars. At the same time, in Longguo, Dongli City, and the wasteland area on the outskirts, Fatty looked at the content on the news and felt excited. Brother Chu must have done it. He must have used a gun. He roared wildly and loudly, with a proud expression on his face. Brother Chu is awesome. Nangong Shirong also saw what was on the news, lamented, and murmured to herself, "Oh, what a troublemaker. Fortunately, he didn't come to my Nangong house." At the same time, in Yanjing City, Shengguan Lingwei looked at the contents of the news and smiled contemptuously. This guy Chuyi dares to be so crazy. He is really not afraid of death. Most people in the Dragon Kingdom watch this kind of news. Okay, these Japanese people will die well. Haha, you deserve it. These Japanese people deserve to die. There was an endless stream of applause from the 4 major cities in the Dragon Kingdom. Of course, there were also a few trolls who talked nonsense about the international community and peaceful coexistence. This incident also caused quite a stir internationally. This was a group of more than 7,000 people on a cruise ship, and they were all massacred like this. It was horrifying. At the same time, Chu Yi crossed his legs in the deep sea. The raging seawater continued to wash away his body, and waves of energy and poisonous gas intertwined in his body. Primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu reached its peak at this moment. He felt the vast water attribute energy contained in the deep sea, like countless stars gathering in his body, and energy after energy continued to pour into his meridians, penetrating the whole body. Chu Yi's body emitted a dazzling light, like a bright star, shining in the dark deep sea. As time passed, Chu Yi's practice entered the most critical moment. He felt the intersection of spiritual energy and poisonous energy in his body, and they began to slowly merge. Finally, a dazzling cyan light burst out from Chu Yi's body. The moment he opened his eyes, a faint poisonous gas emitted from his body. Ho, I finally broke through rank 4. It seems that I have achieved something incredible. Ability. At this moment, Chu Yi's strength has broken through to the realm of rank 4 superpowers, and the primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu has also broken through to the 3rd level. Are you immune to the poison attribute? That's good. The poisonous gas that originally filled the surroundings has been absorbed by Chu Yi, and his body has become stronger. The swallowing ability of the evil gas is stronger, and the distance to control the evil gas is also longer. Quote. Chu Yi felt a strong poisonous gas rushing out of his body. He focused his eyes, waved his hand casually, and made a subtle gesture across the seabed. In an instant, the terrifying poisonous gas appeared out of thin air around him. I can actually control poisonous gas. Is this equivalent to having another superpower? Chu Yi was surprised. This is the 3rd superpower. Is it the function of primordial origin Wuji Gong? It's too strong, it's simply too strong. Got it. Chu Yi, I seem to have evolved. Just when Chu Yi was excited, Xiao Shark's voice was a little excited. When you were practicing, I seemed to be influenced by you. When Chu Yi heard this, he looked at the little shark in the guardian space. He was stunned. It was so big. Little shark, why have you become so big? The little shark in the guardian space became extremely huge, although the previous little shark was also very big. But the current size is really ridiculously big, a full 800 meters. I seem to have broken through rank 8, and some changes have taken place. Xiao Shark was a little excited, and then said something that shocked Chu Yi. I seem to be able to fly. Chu Yi was a little shocked and couldn't wait to summon the little shark. The huge body of the little shark appeared in the deep sea. Tell me what's going on, little shark. Chu Yi had an extremely ridiculous conjecture in his mind at this moment. An hour later, in the blue sky, there was a huge rock. Chu Yi stood on its back, overlooking everything around him. Little shark, how did you evolve into this? Chu Yi said excitedly. Xiaoxia's voice was also a little excited. Just when you broke through, a mysterious energy suddenly poured into my body, and then not only did I advance, but I also became like this. So that's it. Then can you show your rank 8 strength now? Chu Yi asked. No, I feel a limitation. It seems that my upper limit of strength cannot exceed yours. At present, I can only use the strength of rank 4 at most. Xiaoxia explained. Chu Yi looked at the blue sky and said calmly, does that mean I have to break through to rank 8? Only then can you exert your full strength. Little shark nodded and remained silent. Okay, little shark, remember, you are no longer the megalodon, you are Kunpeng. Chu Yi said with an excited expression. Then he returned to the sea, looking at the Japanese country so close, and felt excited in his heart. Kunpeng form, appear, Chu Yi thought silently in his heart. Suddenly, a powerful spiritual power burst out from Chu Yi's body. The blue-black spiritual power turned into Kunpeng's armor, shining with a dazzling light, instantly enveloping his entire body. His green-black hair began to grow rapidly until it extended to his back, making him look extremely handsome. Chu Yi was so angry that he soared into the sky like a strong wind. His body seemed to be lightly wrapped by feathers, dancing freely in the sky. He felt the wings of freedom, like a rock spreading its wings, and an unprecedented excitement surged in his heart, as if he had plunged into the sky and merged with the heaven and earth. He stared at the earth beneath his feet. It became smaller and smaller, like a delicate painting, gradually left behind by his departing figure. Chu Yi was extremely excited. This feeling of freedom really fascinated him. Is this what flying feels like? It's amazing. But at this moment, a fighter jet flew towards Chu Yi, and a man's voice came from inside the fighter jet. Which country are you a superpower from? How dare you come to our Japanese airspace? HMPH. Chu Yi sneered and said to himself, have you flown to the Japanese country already? That's just right, let's do it on you. In the sky, Chu Yi's god-killing gun appeared in his hand, and he rushed towards the fighter jet like lightning. God-killing spear technique. The first style, do not use hidden dragon. His body was spinning in the air, and the tip of the spear in his hand was like a black lightning, piercing the sky. The shadow of the gun raged in the air like a dragon, splitting the Japanese fighting force in front of him in half in the blink of an eye. The man's voice was full of fear, and he yelled, why do you want to kill me? Who are you? Chu Yi was holding the god-killing spear tightly at this moment. His long hair was flying in the strong wind, and the Kunpeng armor flashed with blue-black light, showing his unparalleled domineering power. Why do I want to kill you? I didn't expect you to ask such a stupid question. Chu Yi's eyes were deep, and there was a trace of doubt and confusion in his voice, and then his voice was suddenly filled with arrogance and ridicule, because I just want to kill you, ha 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 ha. Die, Japanese dog. At this time, at the headquarters of the Japanese military, a middle-aged short man roared angrily, who the hell dares to destroy our Japanese invincible fighter plane? His eyebrows were furrowed, and the veins on his forehead highlighted the anger in his heart. Send superpowers immediately to investigate, and be sure to find the culprit. A Japanese soldier saluted and said, yes, Lieutenant General Shabi. After a long time, Chu Yi finally came to the Japanese city of Changchi. This city was full of high-rise buildings and a bustling scene. He was walking on the streets of Changchi City, with crowds surging and noisy noises. As long as I bury the evil spirit into the bodies of ordinary people, as long as I have a thought, these Japanese people will die instantly, and I can also directly devour their life force to help me practice. It really kills two birds with one stone. Chu Yi was thinking in his mind. At this moment, Chu Yi tightly controlled the strong evil spirit in his body and skillfully passed it on to the surrounding Japanese civilians without attracting anyone's attention. Every trace of evil spirit was like an invisible and slender thread, quietly penetrating into their bodies. Chu Yi smiled slightly, with a hint of indifference and ridicule in his eyes. There are probably more than 400,000 people in Changchi City. At the current speed, it will take about 10 days. He walked to a deserted corner, used his Izuku body, and Changchi's massacre plan officially began. The plan was carried out slowly, and the day passed quietly. At the Japanese military headquarters, a female officer reported to Lieutenant General Shabi, Lieutenant General Shabi, we have found the murderer. As he said that, a portrait of Chu Yi appeared on the big screen, and he was in Kunpeng form. The picture of Chu Yi holding the god-killing gun, this is the picture taken before the fighter plane crashed. Who is this person? Lieutenant General Shabi asked. The Japanese female officer said solemnly. After our many investigations, according to the spies we planted in the Dragon Kingdom, this person's name is Chu Yi. He has just turned 18 this year. He was born in the southern city of the Dragon Kingdom. He is an orphan and has awakened SSS level soul power, suspected to be a black gun. And this Chu Yi is responsible for the cruise ship incident. The Japanese female officer took a deep breath, a trace of sadness flashed between her eyebrows. Moreover, this person is just a rank 3 superpower. You must know that he has just awakened. Ability. Lieutenant General Shabi said in shock and anger. You are only 18 years old, and you have such strength just after awakening. Go and inform the Heavenly Sovereign Society and ask them to send superpowers to kill this Chu Yi. 3 days passed quickly like running water. At this moment, Chu Yi closed his eyes tightly and sat cross-legged in the air in Changchi City, focusing on practicing. Suddenly, his eyes slowly opened, and a sharp light flashed across his pupils. Looking at the middle-aged Japanese superpower in front of him, Chu Yi looked solemn and said with a hint of vigilance in his voice, Who are you? I am Junichiro Yamamoto, and you must be Chu Yi. The middle-aged Japanese superpower called himself Junichiro Yamamoto, with confidence and pride in his eyes. Why did you kill me, a Japanese civilian? You must give an explanation today. There's nothing to explain. Just kill him and do whatever you want. Chuyi said disdainfully. Yamamoto Junichiro said angrily. Then you die, monkey from the Dragon Kingdom. A strong wind suddenly whipped up around him. He held a Japanese sword that shone with cold light and slashed towards Chuyi like a bolt of lightning. The speed was jaw-dropping. Chuyi reacted very quickly and instantly transformed into a god-killing spear and rushed towards Junichiro Yamamoto. God-killing spear technique. First style, do not use hidden dragon. The tip of the spear in his hand was like a black lightning bolt, stabbing towards Yamamoto Junichiro. Chuyi held the god-killing spear, and the shadow of the spear was as fast and fierce as a dragon. Every blow made Junichiro Yamamoto fall into a situation of continuous defeat. Yamamoto Junichiro's eyes widened in shock. He could not believe the facts in front of him. How could you be so powerful? You are just a rank 4 superpower. It's not because I'm too strong, but because you're too weak, Japanese. Chuyi raised the corners of his mouth disdainfully, with disdain and ridicule in his expression. Have you thought about your last words? Yamamoto Junichiro laughed loudly and said, Chuyi, no matter how strong you are, come out. Kill this kid. Suddenly, 3 figures appeared in front of Chuyi like ghosts. Just 3 people, Chuyi sneered mockingly, his voice full of disdain and contempt. Dragon people, you are too arrogant. We are all rank 6 superpowers. You are just a little rank 4 superpower. As soon as they finished speaking, they all launched attacks on Chuyi. Chuyi held the god-killing spear in his hand tightly and started a fierce battle with the 4 superpowers. The weapons danced like a violent storm, flashing with a cold light. The 4 Japanese superpowers transformed into fighting machines. Their moves were cruel and cunning, trying to force Chuyi into a desperate situation. However, Chuyi's skill far exceeded their imagination. He flexibly avoided the enemy's attacks and at the same time cut off their offensive line with the god-killing spear. Japanese trash superpowers, do you only have this much ability? HMPH. Don't be complacent, you Dragon Kingdom kid. The 4 Japanese superpowers attacked Chuyi crazily. Their power seemed to be endless, which doubled his pressure. However, Chuyi did not flinch, holding the god-killing spear tightly in his hand, preparing to face the violent attacks of the 4 people. The plan was successful. An evil smile suddenly appeared on Chuyi's face. His eyes became deep and unpredictable. At this moment, a huge Kunpeng phantom appeared out of thin air from behind him. What kind of monster is this? The Japanese superpowers were caught off guard and had no time to react. The phantom of Kunpeng in front of them quickly opened its huge mouth and swallowed them up at once. Little shark, you did a good job. This new move is so powerful. Chuyi laughed, and then felt a little pity. It's a pity that I didn't ask them about their origins. Ha ha ha. After a long time, on a dark and murderous night, Chuyi stood on the street corner, staring at the huge luxury club. At night in Chengchi City, the streets are brightly lit and bustling, and this luxurious club seems to be a dark fortress, hiding the ugly entertainment of the Japanese upper class. Let's start with you people first. Chuyi muttered to himself, his voice cold and low. Pushing open the door of the club, Chuyi felt the strong smell of alcohol and drugs blowing towards his face. Under the dim lights, the gambling table was filled with smoke, and the excited noises of the gamblers filled the entire space. These Japanese people indulge themselves and indulge in the joy of gambling without caring about the life or death of others. In a corner, several Japanese people were devouring drugs. The addiction to drugs made them lose their minds, and their eyes were blurred and empty. At the same time, some women dressed in revealing clothing, surrounded by Japanese people, catered to their desires. They treat this city as their own playground and trample on human dignity and moral bottom lines. HMPH, they are indeed a beast-like nation, unsightly to look at. Chuyi's eyes flashed, a mysterious light instantly enveloped his body, and a god-killing spear flashing with cold murderous intent appeared in his hand. He shuttled between several Japanese people like lightning, and the god-killing spear penetrated their chests mercilessly. An arrogant Japanese man who was playing with women narrowed his eyes and saw Chuyi killing people. He roared angrily, "Who are you? Stop immediately. Do you know who I am? I am." Quote. Suddenly a god-killing spear penetrated his chest from the darkness, and blood spurted out instantly. I am Shabi. His eyes were frozen in midair, filled with shock and endless regret. His body began to tremble, and finally fell to the ground weakly, and the breath of life completely disappeared. When the woman witnessed this scene, she immediately felt her whole body trembling and was so frightened that she even became incontinent. The smell of urine quickly spread and was nauseating. Chu Yi's cold voice sounded. Die, I have mysophobia, you are too dirty. Don't kill me, don't kill. Before the Japanese woman could even finish her plea, the god-killing spear had penetrated her delicate chest mercilessly. In the luxurious club, Chu Yi held the god-killing spear in his hand, with a cold light flashing in his eyes. His gaze was as sharp as a sharp blade, and he launched an attack without hesitation. Whether they were men or women, he slaughtered them mercilessly, waving the god-killing spear in his hand wildly, causing blood to splash everywhere. A man kept begging for mercy. Don't kill me. Don't. Before the begging could stop, the god-killing spear had mercilessly stabbed through his chest. The clubhouse was filled with calls for mercy and wailing sounds. Don't kill me, I have money. Before he finished speaking, die. Don't kill me, I am willing to be your slave, I. Before he finished speaking, die. Don't. Before he finished speaking, die. No. Before he finished speaking, die. The long process of massacre. Fear and helplessness filled the hearts of the Japanese people. They looked at Chu Yi in horror, as if they were facing a messenger from hell. Their eyes were full of despair. Facing Chu Yi's increasingly murderous intent, they felt the despair of no escape. After a while, in the luxurious club, Chu Yi had killed all the Japanese people here. They were all corpses of Japanese people. There were men and women. Their corpses were scattered everywhere. Their death was extremely tragic, and the fearful eyes seemed to still be on their faces. Superior. Chu Yi was the only one left in the huge club at the moment. He stood there alone, surrounded by a cold atmosphere. Suddenly, Chu Yi's cold voice echoed in the air. Humph, the Japanese people let you die so easily. They are really taking advantage of you. Who are you, Your Excellency, who dares to kill like this in our Japanese country? At this time, a Japanese man wearing a gorgeous kimono stood in front of Chu Yi. He held a sharp sword in his hand, and the blade shone with a cold light. Chu Yi looked at this person. His voice was extremely cold. Are you trying to stop me? The man from the Japanese country said calmly. In the lower part of the mountain, Ben Yuanjai, Your Excellency, please retreat. Don't cause any more killings in our Japanese country. I don't have to kill you. Yamamoto Gensai, right, you mean you can kill me at any time. Chu Yi snorted and let out a burst of crazy laughter. Also, I can kill Japanese people if I want. What can you do to me? Since you are so ungrateful. Yamamoto Gensai instantly showed the terrifying strength of a rank 8 superpower and rushed towards Chu Yi like a violent storm. Then go to hell, he roared, and the blade struck Chu Yi instantly, shattering his entire body into countless tiny water droplets, as if a pool of water mist dissipated in the air. This was just Chu Yi's water body. Japanese people, the next time we meet, it will be your death. Chu Yi's voice echoed around him, full of coldness, like a sharp knife in the cold winter, piercing people's hearts. The silence around him was broken by these words, and there was a faint echo. The sound lingered in the air, echoing endlessly, making people feel a sense of oppression. After a while, Chu Yi was in the sky and found Yamamoto Gensai chasing after him. Your Excellency, do you want to escape? Yamamoto Gensai couldn't help but ask. Chu Yi knew very well that the person in front of him named Yamamoto Gensai was extremely powerful and turned out to be a rank 8 superpower. He was not absolutely sure that he could defeat the rank 8 superpower at this moment. Chu Yi felt fierce in his heart. He fought hard. Rank 8 is rank 8. What are you afraid of? He turned around suddenly, with a crazy expression on his face and a hint of determination in his voice. I wanted you to live a few more days, but since you are looking for death, don't blame me. God-killing spear technique. Second style, see the dragon in the field. Chu Yi held the god-killing spear in his hand with a fearless look on his expression. His body shook, and he rushed towards Yamamoto Gensai as fiercely as a tiger emerging from the mountain. The gun skills were raging like a violent storm, with astonishing power, instantly covering the entire sky in a terrifying atmosphere. Yamamoto Gensai held the sword tightly in his hands, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, and a look of confidence and determination gradually appeared on his face. He took a deep breath and kept chanting, and his voice immediately became serious, as if he did not dare to underestimate Chuyi. With my body, I will turn into a fire soul, and the flames will burn the sky. As he recited the incantation, the sword instantly emitted a blazing flame, scorching everything around it like a sun coming to the world. This flame burned blazingly, full of endless destructive power. When Chuyi saw this, he glanced at Yamamoto Gensai with disdain and let out a mocking laugh. It's ridiculous. You actually want to use fire attributes to deal with me. As soon as he finished speaking, Chuyi's water attributes suddenly broke out. His entire body was instantly surrounded by water, and water vapor filled the surroundings, forming a turbulent body of water. This body of water forms a polar opposite to the flames of Yamamoto Gensai. Chuyi and Yamamoto Gensai launched a thrilling battle in the sky. Waters and flames intertwined and lit up the entire sky. The battle goes from dawn to dusk, from dawn to dawn, day by day, as if time has lost its meaning. Their battle was like a violent storm, with sharp breaths and terrifying energy colliding in the air, making a deafening roar. Chuyi's god-killing spear skills were as wild as the wind, and the water attribute spiritual energy continued to surge around him. And Yamamoto Gensai's body exuded a fiery aura, and every time he swung his sword, it brought out a wave of heat, as if it was going to set the entire sky on fire. The battle lasted for 9 days and 9 nights, and their bodies were already covered with scars. Chuyi's own terrifying vitality, coupled with the eternal life of the seeds of the Tree of Origin, these wounds are insignificant to Chuyi. Chuyi laughed wildly and said, Yamamoto Gensai, do you know why I didn't kill you for so long? Why? Yamamoto Gensai said in confusion. He was now covered in scars, like an oil painting ravaged by a storm. His skin was covered with bright red scratches, and painful flames were burning on his body, and his blood was it seeped out and stained his clothes red. Because, I want you to see the next scene, you will definitely be very interested. Chuyi smiled coldly, looked up to the sky, and roared angrily, swallowing with evil energy. Suddenly, a horrifying scream echoed in the air, like a torn throat, emitting a heart-chilling wail. The endless pain and despair filled the entire Chengchi city like thick fog, making people breathless. On the streets, bloody wreckage and broken buildings were strewn, forming a horrifying scene. Rivers of blood flowed through the streets of the city, dyeing the land crimson. The cries of children and the wails of women filled the city. Helpless cries and desperate prayers seemed to be blown away by the wind, and no one would respond. People's eyes are full of fear and despair. They have nowhere to escape and can only let the sharp blade of death come. At this moment, Chengchi City seemed to have become a corner of hell. The entire city was shrouded in darkness, and no trace of dawn could penetrate this desperate haze. Chengchi City, once a prosperous city, has now become a ruin of the soul. The 400,000 Japanese people in Chengchi City, regardless of gender, old or young, as well as those innocent children, women and children, were all swallowed up by the evil spirit. Yamamoto Gensai looked at the scene in front of him, feeling pain in his heart, extremely painful. No, you devil, you hateful dragon country devil. Why do you attack these innocent civilians? 400,000 people, he roared crazily, his voice echoing in the air. It's just a group of Japanese dogs. If they die, they will die. 400,000 dogs are too few. Chuyi smiled contemptuously, not caring about the death of the Japanese people. Okay, you should lead them to death. Chuyi raised one hand and snapped his fingers. As the sound of snapping his fingers came out, Yamamoto Gensai's body was instantly filled with infinite evil energy, quickly devouring his life force. Shrouded in that terrible evil spirit, Yamamoto Gensai had no chance to resist and was eventually wiped out. Oh, I said, your death will be the next time we meet. Why are you so anxious to find death? Chuyi's cold voice sounded. At this moment, the Japanese Council of Representatives is in the president's office. The president of the Japanese Council of Representatives frowned, fear, anger, helplessness, confusion, and confusion burning in his body. What? All the residents of Chengchi City died in an instant. And it's still possible. Was it the work of a certain Dragon Kingdom superpower? He listened to the reports of his men, and his mind was in confusion, as if he had been hit hard. 400,000 people's lives were lost like this. How cruel this was. He clenched his fists, anger and helplessness intertwined on his face. This disaster was undoubtedly the most terrible and tragic one in the history of Japan. He couldn't help but think of the people who had laughed and laughed in Chengchi City, their smiles and hopes. It disappeared in an instant, leaving only silence and sorrow. The president stood up firmly, his voice full of anger and determination, immediately announced this matter to the world, and also informed the Heavenly Sovereign Association to kill this dragon nation man at all costs. In the deep sea, Chuyi sat cross-legged on a coral reef shimmering with cyan light, his body exuding a faint brilliance. His eyes were closed tightly, and he was concentrating on absorbing the life force of the 400,000 Japanese people. The subtle breath spreads, mixed with the salty taste of the ocean, making people feel a strong breath of life. Every meridian in Chuyi was trembling with joy, absorbing the vitality and energy from 400,000 people. Chuyi felt that the seeds of the tree of origin in his body were frantically absorbing the life force of 400,000 people, and a strong energy surged in his body. His eyes widened, and he was surprised to see that the tree of origin seed actually grew a small trunk inside his body. A tree trunk actually grew. Let me see what surprise you can bring me. Chuyi was a little excited. He felt a powerful breath of life suddenly surged in his body, but it was different from the pure breath of life, different. His heart moved, and he realized that this was a pure wood attribute power. His eyes instantly stared at the boss, and he murmured in disbelief. It turned out to be a wood attribute power. The fourth power user. Impossible. This impossible. At this moment, in Dongjing City, in the Heavenly Sovereign meeting of the Japanese kingdom, the gorgeous decorations all around exuded a dazzling brilliance. Sitting on the main seat was a middle-aged Japanese man. His eyes were deep and sharp, as if he could see through people's hearts. This person is the president of the Heavenly Sovereign Society. Chuyi, a native of the Dragon Kingdom, an SSS Soul Level Rank 4 superpower, killed Yamamoto Gensai. He faced the crowd. His voice was low and majestic. He paused, and then continued. Chengchi City, 400,000 civilians were massacred by him alone. A Japanese female superpower said in surprise, "What? Yamamoto Gensai was killed. Is this Chuyi so powerful?" The president said seriously. "Matsumoto Chuyi, this is the news I just got. This Chuyi is very weird. He is obviously only at rank 4, but his strength is terrifying. We have to find a way to kill him. Everyone, who of you is willing to go and kill him?" All the supernatural beings from the Heavenly Sovereign Society in the audience were silent. Their eyes flashed with a trace of fear and uneasiness. No one wanted to face such a powerful opponent. A member of the Japanese Heavenly Sovereign Society said helplessly, "Mr. President, this Chuyi can kill even Yamamoto Gensai. I'm afraid we are powerless." Matsumoto Chiang's eyes brightened instantly, and he asked confidently, "President, do you think Chuyi has any fatal weaknesses?" "What do you mean?" The president thought, his face solemn. Matsumoto Chuyi looked ferocious and said viciously, "Everyone has his weaknesses, such as his friends, relatives, friends, wives, etc. Chuyi, according to intelligence, he is an orphan with no family and very few friends. Moreover, he is not close to women. He has been killing and killing since he awakened his powers. This person is a murderer." The president looked helpless. This Chuyi is a huge threat. His strength is getting stronger day by day, and his strength is growing very fast. Matsumoto Chuyi was stunned, and then said firmly, "President, leave this matter to me. I will find his weakness and kill him." The president looked solemn, staring at Matsumoto Chuyi, and issued an order. "Okay, Matsumoto Chuyi, I will leave this matter to you. Don't let me down." On the other side, Chuyi is in the deep sea, and he is practicing the wood attribute power he obtained through the evolution of the tree of origin. Countless wooden vines suddenly appeared all around, and a faint poisonous gas was exuding from the wooden vines. They tightly wrapped around a rank 4 beast, absorbing its vitality. The vitality was fed back to Chuyi, making Chuyi stronger. This control is so strong, and it can continue to absorb the enemy's vitality. Chuyi couldn't help but be surprised. It turned out to be a fusion of the poison attribute and the wood attribute. This made him find a new idea to integrate various attributes of abilities to achieve the purpose of doubling the power. An hour later, a small wooden boat came into view on the sea. This small boat was made by Chuyi using his wood attribute. Although it was a bit shabby and surrounded by vines, it could float freely on the sea. He just lay leisurely on the small broken boat, enjoying the comfort of the warm sunshine falling on his body. There will be times when the wind blows and the waves break, and the clouds and sails will sail straight across the sea. Ha ha ha. His laughter floated in the air like a strong wind. Well, this is a cruise ship from Banksy country. Chu Yi's eyes were attracted by a small cruise ship in the distance. He squinted his eyes and observed carefully. He judged that the cruise ship should be from Banksy country, and said to himself, is it a cruise ship from the Banksy kingdom? It actually went to the waters of the Japanese kingdom. It's strange. Forget it, never mind. Banksy country is just a bunch of puppets from the United States. He didn't pay too much attention and continued to rely on his small wooden boat, squinting his eyes and enjoying the sunshine. At this moment, on the cruise ship of Banksy country, a group of young Banksy country students gathered together, toasting and drinking, enjoying the atmosphere of the banquet. The loud music on the cruise ship made these young people extremely happy. The cheerful rhythm shuttled through everyone's ears, arousing the enthusiasm deep in their hearts. The lights flicker like stars, illuminating the entire cabin, creating a dazzling stage. The boys are dressed in fashionable suits, handsome and upright, with bright temperament. The girls were dressed in a variety of gorgeous evening gowns, showing off their splendor. Today is the graduation season of our college, and then we will set foot on the land of this beautiful city and enjoy the swim. A handsome and elegant man stood upright with a loud and passionate voice. I sincerely wish each of us have fun and have fun. Suddenly, an exclamation came from the bow of the ship. Look, there is a small boat there, and there is a person on it. This immediately attracted everyone's attention, and everyone turned their heads to look. I saw a small boat silhouette approaching rapidly on the vast sea in the distance. There is also a lonely figure leaning on the boat. This person is Chu Yi. He has short black hair, eyebrows like swords, eyes like stars, nose like jade pillars, and mouth like red pills. A girl on the cruise ship seemed to be fascinated when she saw Chu Yi's handsome appearance, and shouted to him, "This handsome guy, why are you alone at sea? We are on a cruise ship to Chengchi City. Do you want to come up and join us?" The girl spoke Banksy Chinese language, but Chu Yi understood it. "No need, but I advise you not to go to Chengchi City." His voice floated in the air like a wisp of smoke, echoing on the sea, ethereal and mysterious. Why? When the girl looked forward again, the small wooden boat had already disappeared. Time passed slowly, and the Banksy Chinese student tour group finally arrived in Chengchi City. However, what they saw was a horrifying picture, and the city was filled with the terror of death. Silence enveloped the entire city, as if there was no life left in the empty streets. What is going on? It's so scary. A girl from Banksy country covered her face with her hands in fear, her body trembling constantly. I want to go home, I want to go home. A group of students from the Banksy kingdom were talking and their voices crisscrossed. This is simply too scary. Have we come to the wrong place? A young boy frowned, his eyes full of confusion and fear. Impossible, this is Chengchi City. Another girl answered eagerly, with a hint of uneasiness in her voice. Isn't it an invasion of alien beasts? A tall boy said tremblingly, his voice revealing a hint of panic. No, the Japanese country is an island country, and there are very few large-scale invasions of alien beasts. The countries with the most alien beasts should be the Dragon Kingdom, the Bear Kingdom, and the American country. A bespectacled man tried to use a rational voice through the thick spectacle lenses. Everyone explains. Then what's going on? A little fat man asked anxiously, with a tremor in his voice. A girl stammered, with an inexplicable fear in her voice. Everyone, please watch the news on your mobile phone. As soon as the girl finished speaking, the students from Banksy Academy took out their mobile phones one after another. On the news channel, bright red characters attracted everyone's attention. They ruthlessly announced the tragedy of Japan. The news shocked the entire Blue Star. More than 400,000 innocent civilians in Chengchi City were brutally massacred. This chilling news came from the Japanese government, who officially identified the murderer as a demon from the Dragon Kingdom. The case documents provided by the Japanese government are exhaustive, listing the murderer's personal information. Attached are photos of Chu Yi. Chu Yi is in the form of Kunpeng, holding the god-killing spear in his hand. There is also a photo of Chu Yi in normal state. Name: Chu Yi. Age: 18 years old. Nationality: Dragon Kingdom. Strength: mysterious, said to be able to defeat rank 8 superpowers. Superpower: the legendary SSS level soul-based superpower, suspected to be a black gun. Crime: brutally murdering more than 7,000 Japanese people on a Japanese cruise ship, and ruthlessly massacring 400,000 innocent people in Changchi City. No one in Changchi City survived. Shocked: the students of Banksea country were extremely shocked. They did not expect that there was such a person in the world. This is a devil, this is a devil. This disastrous event caused great panic and anger in Japan, and the entire country fell into silence and mourning. People can't imagine that such a young murderer has such terrifying power, enough to push the Japanese country into the abyss. The Japanese government has issued a global appeal, asking the International Supernatural Organization to take action to hunt down and bring to justice this demonic murderer. The power of this killing has exceeded people's imagination, and the Japanese people are filled with fear throughout the country. And Chu Yi's name has also been engraved in the hearts of the Japanese people, becoming a pain that they can never erase. At this moment, Chu Yi's reputation is shocking all over the world. The girl from Banksea country screamed in surprise, "Ah! This is actually the man we met at sea. It's him, the man in the small broken boat." The minds of the students in Banksea country were filled with thoughts of fear, incomparable fear. One boy said with lingering fear, "Fortunately he didn't board the ship, otherwise we might all die." At this moment, on the sea, doo-doo-doo. Chu Yi answered the phone. He found out that it was Zheng Xin who called, so he immediately answered the phone. "Hey, Zheng Xin, what's wrong?" "Chu Yi, you are too reckless. You are now wanted by the whole world." Zheng Xin's voice was full of consternation and disbelief. "Oh, has this matter spread?" Chu Yi raised his eyebrows in surprise. Zheng Xin smiled bitterly and said, "Yes, the international view of you in the Dragon Kingdom has changed dramatically. After all, you killed everyone in a city in the Japanese kingdom." Chu Yi's expression was relaxed and he said easily, "I understand, I will find a way to deal with it." After hanging up Zheng Xin's call, Fatty's calls came one after another. Hey, Fatty, how come you know this too?" Brother Chu's voice was full of surprise. "Wow, Brother Chu, you are so awesome. You actually massacred the entire city of Japan. When will you take me there? My Ruyi golden cudgel is so hungry and thirsty." The fat man's voice was full of excitement. Chu Yi took the mobile phone and said to the excited fat man on the other end of the phone, "Fat man, these things are not important. What is important is how are you doing at Nangong's house?" "Very good. I hunt exotic beasts in the wasteland every day and constantly improve my strength." The other person on the phone looked excited, and then said proudly, "Now I have reached the realm of rank 5, and I am far from the top. Breaking through rank 6 is only one step away." Chu Yi laughed loudly and said boldly, "Very good, Fatty, when you reach rank 9, come to Japan and kill everyone." After hanging up the phone, beep beep beep. Then the phone rang again. It was Feng Qingyan calling. Chu Yi muttered to himself in confusion, how could it be her? After answering the phone, he answered a few words briefly, and then hung up the phone resolutely. At this moment, in the hall of the Dragon Kingdom's highest command center, a powerful middle-aged man stood under the gaze of everyone. His body is tall and straight, standing majestically like a mountain. His eyes are sharp and deep, seeming to hide endless wisdom and determination. His black hair is slightly scattered, revealing the traces of his long-term fighting on the battlefield. His face is resolute and determined, as if carved. The iron-faced general. His hands were clenched into fists, and an invisible force emanated from his body, which made people feel awe. He was wearing a black shirt with a winding dragon pattern embroidered on it. The golden threads shimmered, as if telling his unparalleled military exploits. This person's name is Xiao Tianju, and he is the commander-in-chief of the Dragon Kingdom's special forces with special abilities. There were several powerful figures gathered around him, among whom Feng Qingyan stood eye-catchingly. She was currently wearing a gorgeous red battle uniform, which perfectly outlined her slender figure. The middle-aged man spoke in a low voice. "You all know it, right? Chu Yi, an 18-year-old boy, massacred a city in the Japanese country. I won't go into details. Feng Qingyan, haven't you been observing him for a long time? What do you think about whether he is qualified to join us?" Feng Qingyan said. Boss Xiao, I think it's okay. As far as I know, Chu Yi has joined our Night Walker organization. Xiao Tianju nodded, with a hint of joy in his expression, and said, okay, then I will leave it to you to arrange this Chu Yi. He is in a very dangerous situation now. Feng Qingyan nodded and said, I understand. Oh, I wanted to massacre the city without anyone noticing, but I didn't expect that I was discovered. At this moment, Chu Yi was lying leisurely on the small wooden boat, planning the next move, feeling a little depressed in his heart, and he was in the middle of nowhere without knowing it, in the impending danger. When Chu Yi raised his head and looked up at the sky, an ordinary nuclear bomb broke through the air at an alarming speed and headed straight for his location. He frowned, and a fire of anger surged in his heart. This is a nuclear weapon. These Japanese brats have no martial ethics. He was furious and immediately mobilized all his powers. Stimulating wood attribute powers and water attributes form a strong protective barrier, trying to withstand the coming disaster. In an instant, the nuclear bomb exploded, releasing astonishing power. A huge shock wave swept over and the wind howled. Chu Yi felt the frantic airflow around him, as if the whole world was trembling. He closed his eyes tightly and tightened his muscles, trying his best to resist the pressure and destructive force caused by the explosion. He could feel the protective barrier shaking constantly, as if it was about to be shattered. Time seemed to become infinitely long. Chu Yi's body seemed to be trapped in an endless darkness. He felt invisible power raging on him. His bones seemed to be torn apart and his muscles seemed to be torn into pieces. He gritted his teeth and fought resolutely, and the superpowers throughout his body continued to flow, providing him with a steady stream of strength and vitality. After a long time, finally, the shock wave gradually dissipated and the strong wind gradually subsided. Fortunately, my vitality is strong, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. Chu Yi was still frightened, and then a sudden feeling of anger surged in his heart, and he raised his middle finger to the sky. In the Japanese headquarters, all the officers were horrified when they saw the images transmitted by the satellite. Chu Yi was not dead, and he even raised his middle finger. Even the nuclear bomb did not kill him. This abominable dragon countryman can't even kill him with a nuclear bomb. Lieutenant General Shabi was furious. It seems we can only look at Matsumoto's first baby. He couldn't believe that the power of the nuclear bomb could not kill Chu Yi. You must know that even high-level superpowers should not be able to withstand such a devastating attack. An hour later, on the sea level, Chu Yi stood on the small wooden boat, his eyes firm and determined. HMPH, you little of the Japanese country, let me let you live a few more days. He had already formed a plan in his mind. Arctic continent, that remote and mysterious place, was his destination. He thought secretly in his heart, since the revival of spiritual energy, Arctic continent has been a restricted area for people with supernatural powers. It is said that there are strange beasts above the legendary rank 9. I don't know if it is true. Suddenly, there was a deafening cry of phoenix in the sky, and a fire phoenix descended from the sky, spread its wings and soared, carrying none other than Feng Qingyan. She was wearing a gorgeous red phoenix battlesuit, which clung to her graceful figure like a burning flame, emitting a brilliant and enchanting light. The phoenix pattern is delicate and exquisite, as if a lifelike soul is looming on her body, and every line is full of power. Feng Qingyan smiled elegantly and intellectually, her voice as clear as a stream. Chu Yi, long time no see. Now that you have caused such a big trouble, what are your plans? There was a hint of deep wisdom in her eyes. Chu Yi's brows frowned slightly. He was curious about Feng Qingyan's sudden appearance. Feng Qingyan, why are you here? Also, are you Phoenix? Feng Qingyan smiled softly, with a hint of mystery in her voice. Isn't there a strange beast inside you? Chu Yi's eyes widened and he stared at Feng Qingyan in disbelief. You actually have a guardian beast. And it's a phoenix. Does this kind of mysterious creature really exist in this world? Feng Qingyan looked at Chu Yi with a smile, shook her head and said, don't be too surprised, kid, this world is much more exciting than you know. Chu Yi suddenly became serious and said, then why did you come to me? I don't believe this was a chance encounter. Feng Qingyan said straight to the point. Okay, I won't beat around the bush. I came to you to ask you to join us. Feng Qingyan introduced herself again. I am Feng Qingyan, the leader of the Dragon Kingdom's special forces with special abilities. Chu Yi was full of doubts and said, Dragon Kingdom's Special Forces of Superpowers. Why haven't I heard of this department? Feng Qingyan smiled and explained. The Dragon Kingdom's Special Forces are a secret organization, and we are responsible for protecting national security. Our mission is to deal with supernatural phenomena and supernatural events and ensure social peace and stability. Also, the Nightcrawler organization you join is a department under our organization. Chu Yi frowned slightly. He was shocked and curious about the existence of the special forces with superpowers. He had never thought that such a mysterious existence was hidden in this world. Feng Qingyan noticed Chu Yi's doubts, and said firmly, "Our existence has always been low-key, because our work is different from the world that ordinary people understand. We have experienced countless secret operations, in order to protect the country's security." Chu Yi's doubts gradually dissipated, and he began to have a little admiration for Feng Qingyan. Feng Qingyan's eyes flashed with determination, and she continued to explain to Chu Yi, "The conditions for joining us are very demanding. The most important thing is loyalty and strength. I was with Shangguan Lingwei before, and there was a part the reason was to examine her. However, until I met you, I found that you are more suitable for us." Chu Yi looked confused and said, "Me? I'm just a rank 4 superpower. Why are you looking for me?" Feng Qingyan's face was serious as she explained, "In this world, there is a kind of person called genius. They have unparalleled talents and transcendent abilities, and can easily defeat opponents several times stronger than themselves. And Chu Yi, that's the kind of person you are. In most cases, realm is a measure of strength, but sometimes realm does not represent strength." Chu Yi said calmly, "I like freedom and don't like to be restrained. And I still have a lot of things to do." Feng Qingyan heard the meaning of Chu Yi's words, but continued to explain, "Our special force of superpowers will not restrain members, and there are no rules. Moreover, you are joining our Feng group, and I am the superpower. I am the leader of the Special Forces team. I promise you that as long as you join our team, I will give you absolute freedom and I will ask for your wishes when performing tasks." Chu Yi thought for a moment, then nodded and said, "Okay, I'll join you, but you must remember the conditions you promised me and not restrict my freedom." Feng Qingyan smiled and jumped onto Chu Yi's small wooden boat. The fire phoenix turned into a stream of light and entered Feng Qingyan's body. Then she took out a bright ID card from her pants pocket and handed it to Chu Yi carefully. Chu Yi took the certificate and looked at it carefully. The surface of the certificate shone with golden light, and a burning flame was engraved on it. He looked at her doubtfully, with a trace of surprise in his eyes. "You already knew I would want to join you?" Feng Qingyan smiled and said, "Of course, I have been observing you for a long time. You are the most potential stock." After bidding farewell to Feng Qingyan, Chu Yi learned the location of the headquarters of the Special Forces of Superpowers. But he doesn't plan to go right now, as her current strength is still too weak. "Let's go to Arctic continent first. It would be even better if he could develop ice attribute powers." Chu Yi thought silently in his heart. Yes, the purpose of going to Arctic continent was to develop ice attribute powers. He found that he now possesses a variety of superpowers, including the Soul System, God-Killing Spear, the Element System, Water, the Element System, Wood, and the Element System, Poison. Its poison attribute ability is formed by absorbing the poisonous gas under the deep sea. Therefore, Chu Yi guessed that primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu is very likely to cultivate a variety of superpowers. Time flies. 3 days later. The eastern part of Bear Country is covered in ice and snow. The wind was freezing and the chill was biting. Chu Yi whispered to himself, "I didn't expect that the eastern part of the Bear Country would be so cold. I'm afraid only people with superpowers can survive in such a temperature." He looked at the vast snowfield in front of him. The white snow covered the entire land. The cold air condensed into a thick layer of frost, freezing everything. Chu Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. In the ice and snow in the distance, an astonishing scene came into his eyes. A little girl was fighting with a ferocious alien beast. He was surprised. Such a young child can actually fight with an alien beast. The beasts are fighting each other, it's incredible. The little girl was seen wearing a white robe, like a delicate snow lotus, blooming alone in the ice and snow. She was holding a broken iron sword and started a life and death battle with the alien beast. It didn't take long for the little girl to fall into a desperate situation, her life hanging by a thread, just as she was about to be killed by a ferocious beast. Chu Yi suddenly moved. He held the god-killing gun and aimed it at the body of the alien beast like lightning. Like a black lightning, it instantly penetrated the body of the alien beast. The alien beast was nailed to the pure white snow, unable to move at all. The little girl looked at such a scene and said in a childish voice, "So strong." Chu Yi walked slowly over, and the god-killing spear turned into a black mist and quickly returned to his body. He stared at the little girl in front of him, with concern in his voice. "Kid, what's your name? Why are you doing this? Don't you know it's dangerous here? Where are the adults in your family?" The little girl stared at Chu Yi with curiosity, and said in a clear and innocent voice, "Thank you for saving me. My name is Lysilia. I am 11 years old. Big brother, who are you?" "My name is Chu Yi, and I am from the Dragon Kingdom." Chu Yi frowned, with a look of confusion on his face. "Where is your family? How come you go out to hunt strange beasts alone?" Lysilia was silent for a moment, her thoughts wandering in sad memories. She raised her bright eyes full of tears. "My parents were killed by alien beasts. At this moment, Chu Yi heard movement in the distance, which was the sound of a person with superpowers flying rapidly through the air. A woman with a Western face, a curvy figure, and a black mink coat came to Chu Yi and Lysilia after a while. She made no secret of her joy, with a hint of contempt in her voice. "Lysilia, I finally found you, come back with me now." Lysilia instantly hid behind Chu Yi in horror, clutching Chu Yi's clothes tightly. "I don't want to go back with you." Her voice was full of determination and anger. The woman looked extremely arrogant and said to Chu Yi, who was standing in front of Lysilia, "My friend, please don't interfere in this matter, otherwise, you will be responsible for the consequences." "Oh, you are responsible for the consequences? Just because you are a rank 4 superpower?" Chu Yi looked playful and indifferent. The woman stared at Chu Yi's face, with hesitation and uneasiness in her eyes. The more she looked at him, the more she felt that the man in front of her was exactly the same as Chu Yi in the rumors. The infamous man who massacred 400,000 people in the Japanese country was like a shadow in her heart. Suddenly, the woman couldn't help but let out a scream, her voice full of panic and shock. "Ah! You are Chu Yi. You are the god of murder who slaughtered 400,000 Japanese people." Just when the woman panicked, Chu Yi's god-killing spear was already on her neck, so fast that the woman couldn't react in time. Chu Yi looked cold and said, "Tell me, who are you? Why do you want to arrest this little girl?" At this moment, the fear in the woman's heart has reached its peak. She unexpectedly ran into Chu Yi on a random mission. This was the international god of murder, a being who could kill 400,000 people without batting an eyelid. She said tremblingly, "Don't kill me, I am a superpower from the Eagle Federation. My name is Camille, and I have been tasked to capture Lysilia." Chu Yi looked calm and said, "Continue. An innocent little girl, why did you arrest her?" The woman was so frightened that she was sweating, and said with a trembling voice, I really don't know. I just received the mission to catch this little girl. I don't know anything else." Chu Yi snorted coldly, his voice was as sharp as ice, and said, "I don't know." "Very good, then you die." Suddenly, countless vines spread out from the ground and quickly wrapped around the woman's body. "No, let me go," the woman screamed, but the vines tightened tightly, as if they were going to devour her. No, please let me go." The vines became more and more violent, constantly absorbing the woman's spiritual energy. Her plea for mercy gradually disappeared, and finally only a dry body remained. Chu Yi walked slowly to Lysilia, stared at the petite figure, gently stroked her hair, and said softly, "Lysilia, if you don't mind, I will send you to the dragon. I guarantee that no one will dare to bully you in the future." Lysilia nodded cutely and said happily, "Big brother, thank you." "Well, let's go." Chu Yi showed a bright smile, and the sunshine-like smile spread all over his face. Chu Yi and Lysilia, one big and one small, headed north. The ice and snow, the cold wind whistling past, dyed the earth into a silvery white. In the vast white world, everything is frozen, as if time has stopped. In the evening, the world was shrouded in ice and snow, and a beautiful wooden house stood quietly in the biting winter wind and snow. This house was built by Chu Yi using the wood attribute. It is fully furnished and furnished. Every piece of furniture was carefully selected by him from Dongli City. Soft cushions are placed on the calm sofa, giving people a sense of comfort and enjoyment. Chu Yi's space ring also contains a large number of daily necessities, which he bought from Nanchang City in case of emergency. Xiao Xia, let's rest here today, Chu Yi said softly. Lysilia smiled and nodded. A touch of warmth bloomed on her porcelain doll-like face. She hadn't felt so at ease for a long time since her parents passed away. Her eyes revealed a hint of inner tranquility. He lay quietly on the wooden bed and fell asleep. After Chu Yi watched Xiao Xia fall asleep, he quietly left the wooden house. In the white snow, endless ice fell from the sky, like ice and snow elves flying between heaven and earth. The cold wind was whistling past, and the air was biting. He looked up and saw stars in the dark night sky, like shining diamonds, emitting a mysterious and charming light. Chu Yi sat cross-legged, his body trembling slightly, running the primordial origin Wuji Kung Fu, and the surrounding air gradually began to become moist. The water-attributed abilities are constantly rotating around Chu Yi, like a lively stream of water, criss-crossing, sometimes forming a trickling stream, and sometimes converging into a rapid waterfall. Ning bing, Chu Yi shouted. The water attribute abilities began to be affected by the ice. Gradually, the water droplets in the water flow began to freeze and transformed into ice attributes. Frost continued to condense around him, forming crystal-clear ice crystals, exuding endless cold air. It actually worked. I didn't expect it to be so easy. As long as I practice more in the future, I can completely control the ice attribute abilities, Chu Yi said excitedly. Chu Yi stretched out his arm without hesitation, as if he had given an order, and a burst of ice energy burst out from his palm. What a strong control ability. It is indeed an ice attribute power. He stretched out another hand. With a gentle wave of one hand, the ice air changes into various shapes, such as flying white feathers, blooming ice lotuses, and sharp ice blades. Each form is full of icy beauty and endless power. Chu Yi concentrated on qi gathering, activating the water attribute ability in his body. He stared at the palm of his hand, and a wisp of water vapor rose up, gradually condensing into a crystal-clear ice cube. The ice cubes exuded a refreshing cold air. However, Chu Yi was not satisfied with just condensing the ice cubes. He activated his powers, and the ice cubes began to melt, and water droplets slid down the ice surface. Suddenly, Chu Yi's palm moved again, instantly dividing into countless tiny water droplets, and then countless tiny water droplets turned into countless tiny ice needles. Chu Yi narrowed his eyes and said to himself, very good. Switch back and forth between water and ice, so I have another trump card. At this moment, suddenly, a bullet hit hard towards he was shot in the air, and he noticed it instantly, turning his head to avoid the bullet easily. Who is it? His voice echoed in the ice and snow. Suddenly, dozens of female warriors wearing uniform and tight-fitting combat uniforms with perfect figures poured out from all directions. However, their dull expressions seemed to be controlled by some invisible force. They had no thoughts or emotions and just attacked Chu Yi mechanically. This group of people, if what I sensed is correct, they don't have a heartbeat. How could some of them not have a heartbeat? Chu Yi felt incredible in his heart. He avoided the attack while shouting, "Who the hell are you?" Quote. But these people didn't seem to hear it. Every attack was merciless, and Chu Yi had to dodge constantly. Then don't blame my men for being ruthless, just die. Chu Yi was a little angry, and instantly transformed into a god-killing spear, and rushed towards the group of female warriors mercilessly. His marksmanship struck these demented female warriors mercilessly like a gust of wind, with every shot carrying the power of destruction. When the tip of his spear penetrated the chest of a female warrior, he was shocked to find that her chest was actually a mechanical structure. It turned out to be a robot. That's easy to handle. Immediately, Chu Yi exploded with all his strength, and Kunpeng's form was activated. He held the god-killing spear tightly, and every time he swung it, he seemed to be able to destroy everything. He wielded the god-killing gun, completely smashing these robots with amazing speed and power. Every time the gun light flashed, the robots collapsed like fragile reeds swallowed by a storm. Their metal bodies were shattered into countless fragments and scattered in all directions under Chu Yi's power. Chu Yi's figure was like a thunder in the ice and snow. After a long time, He couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect it to be a robot. It seems that I still know too little about this world. He did not hesitate to call Feng Qingyan and explain to Feng Qingyan the situation of the robot attack. Okay, I get it. The phone hangs up. Half an hour later, Feng Qingyan arrived on Fire Phoenix. She said to Chu Yi, why are you here? Do you want to go to Arctic continent? It's not easy there. Chu Yi was surprised by Feng Qingyan's speed. Then he pointed at the robot wreckage around him and said, you'd better take a look at these robots first. They attacked me. I killed them all. Feng Qingyan immediately leaned over to inspect the remains of the robots. The chest of one of the robots still emitted a faint blue light. She gently touched the fragments of the robot and felt a cold touch. Chu Yi, these robots don't look like ordinary machines. They seem to have some kind of special energy. Feng Qingyan analyzed. Why did these robots attack me, and who sent them? Chu Yi's voice was full of doubts. Feng Qingyan looked at Chu Yi like a fool and said, since you destroyed Changchi City, do you know how many countries want to kill you now? But I guess these robots should be from the United States. Chu Yi nodded and said, I understand. I have one more thing to ask you. He took Feng Qingyan to the cabin and pointed at the little girl who was sleeping soundly on the wooden bed. Chu Yi said in an extremely serious tone, I rescued this little girl in the east of the Bear Country. Her name is Lisa Leah. I hope you will help me take care of her and let her grow up well. Feng Qingyan stared at Chu Yi with her beautiful eyes, as if she wanted to see what he was thinking, and then said, yes, we have people in Yanjing City who can protect her safety at any time, and can also let her go to the top. With a good school, even if she can't awaken her powers in the future, we can still find her a good job in the future. Chu Yi nodded and expressed sincere gratitude. Thank you. Feng Qingyan was confused. From the fact that Chu Yi destroyed 400,000 people in the Japanese city of Changchi, it could be seen that Chu Yi was not a kind person. She asked, why would a person like you save an ordinary person? A girl from Bear Country. Chu Yi squinted his eyes and stared at Feng Qingyan for a long time. The atmosphere was a bit strange. Suddenly, Chu Yi's words were as gentle as the spring breeze, but full of firm power. He said, in the beginning, people are inherently good. If they are even kind, everyone will be doubted, so how can this world be saved? Chu Yi stood in front of the window, turning his head slightly and looking at Lysilia, who was sleeping soundly. There was a hint of warmth and determination in his eyes. Besides, I saw myself in her. Feng Qingyan was stunned. Chu Yi's words made her change her view of Chu Yi. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.